You found my name in the rain on the porch. I kept it small like a pin in a glove. Your shadow leaned on the apple crate step, and the clock in the hall would not answer us. Stay a little while, stay a little near. Your breath on my cheek like a borrowed fear. Dance me slow, paper moonlace. Hold my hand in a stranger place. Hold my hand, sweet and still we could disappear. Dance me slow and leave me here. Your collar was white, but your eyes were bold, like a key in a jar with a secret hold. I heard the boards count softly our feet, and the room grew thin as a candle leaf. Stay a little while, stay a little near. Your breath on my cheek like a borrowed fear. Dance me slow, paper moonlace. Hold my hand in a stranger place. Hold my hand, sweet and still we could disappear. Dance me slow and leave me here.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you guys are all doing well. Allie was here, but now she's gone, so I don't know what's going on. I'll just wait for her to get back, but there she is. We have a lot to go over with this conviction being overturned, so let's get right into it. It's great to see everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And now, coming to the stage, my friend and yours, Allie Erickson. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you, babe.
Oh, hold on. Wonder why.
I can't hear you. Go out and come back in. Oh, I wonder if she can hear me. Yeah, she heard me. All right. I wonder why I can't hear her. Oh, there's always issues with streaming. Oh, you're welcome, Anna. Thanks for being here. So what I thought we could do is, Allie and I are obviously going to talk about this, but I pulled up his appeal because I was unclear. That's it. I was unclear about this assault charge and who the assault charge was against, because I remember that he was also charged with assaulting Kayla. And so I wasn't sure if that is what they did, but it wasn't. So the reason that the conviction was overturned, there she is. Let's see. Hello?
Hello?
No, I still can't hear you. Hold on a minute. Maybe it's me. Don't do nothing. Let me just see if it's me.
Okay, because my button's moving, or around my thing, you can see the microphone moving.
Let me turn you up. Talk now.
Hello?
Nope.
What in the world? Do you see?
Pictures, Allie, that you've made. Alice, hold on a second, you guys. Now everything's messed up. Make sure, Allie, that you've given the right permissions. Like, you should see on your screen that
Oh yeah, I've done that.
hearing your audio, because I cannot hear you at all. Y'all can hear her, then let me go out and come in.
Oh, okay, see? Because my mic is moving. I knew it. Hello, you guys. See, look at the mic thing moving around my bubble. Sorry, I had to run outside because I have the littles today. But hello, you guys. I can't believe it. I really cannot believe it. It's like Letitia, that was like this unheard of thing Then you hear the news about Alex Murdoch. Then this. And it's like, oh
It's
my
got to be
God.
me. Hold on. I'm sorry, you guys. This is all my fault, and I cannot hear her. So a discussion is going to be pointless if I can't hear her.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Definitely pointless. If you can't hear me, that's not a discussion. But no, yeah, it is unreal. I don't know. I'm pretty pissed off about it. But anyways, what are you guys up to? And are you having a good summer so far? I know it's just starting, and some people, their kids aren't even out of school yet, but I love the summertime. It is a busy, busy, busy time, though, but it's just so nice to be able to be outside all the time.
I can hear you. The problem was me. It's always me. But I will say you're having a little, that demon that we get.
Oh, no.
I
Yeah.
know. I know. So, okay, you go out and come back in. It was me.
Okay.
I don't know why it switched the speakers for me. So rude. Not Allie being rude. My thing switching. Anyway, okay. So, and then I had Alice trying to sit right up under the mic, which she's purring. So it's all you guys would be able to hear. All right. We are going to get this. I promise. So, okay, the reason that Adam's conviction was overturned is because all right, let's hear it. Hello.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
And no more demon noise?
Oh, well, there's a little demon.
Oh my God. Hold on a second. Because
Okay.
okay, but when we first had the audio issues, I took out my AirPods to see if
Okay.
like that was why you couldn't hear me. So let me put them back in.
Okay. We are going to get this straightened out, you guys, I promise.
Yes, and it's live. Listen, shit happens when it's a live show that you're watching. But Bendy,
True.
I noticed my audio bubble was moving. Like when I first joined, that's why I was like, so you know what I mean? Like around my letter.
Right. So the issue was me. It's my bad. I'm sorry. I could see that your audio was moving, but I couldn't hear you. I don't think we have the demon anymore. Let me talk.
Okay, is it better?
Yes. The Dybbuk has left the building. Now we're all straightened out.
Putting the AirPods back in helped.
How are you doing, babe?
So I'm doing pretty good. Just, doing the morning things here at the house. But yeah, busy. But
Busy. Yeah, same. I have
how
the
about
nuggie.
you?
I am busy. I have the nuggie, and she has 2 loose teeth. The top 2 are loose. And I guess I'm getting basically a minute by minute update on how loose it's looser now. It's really loose now. How much do you think the Tooth Fairy's going to give me? Because last time the Tooth Fairy gave her $20.
Was that the first time though?
Yes. Well, no, that's a lie. It was for the second tooth. Also.
That's funny. Well,
the Tooth Fairy is very, very generous. When the Tooth Fairy just pulls cash, but hasn't had an opportunity to break the cash. Papa.
That's funny. That is adorable. Papa.
Yeah.
I was just telling them when you couldn't hear me, I was like, well, because I had to run inside for a second and I Bentley coughed in there and I was like, okay, I'm sorry guys, I gotta go outside. I have the little ones, but look, it's just what we're doing. Yeah, I think he just like he's not sick or anything. So but
good.
he has horrible allergies, like horrible. And I mean to the point where if he misses a day of like Zyrtec, and we went back and forth, the doctor have put us back and forth, but if he misses one day, he's literally sneezing over back to back to back to back. Like he just has bad allergies. Mm-hmm.
And you are in an area where allergies will be activated for sure.
Yeah.
You've got definitely all those trees and all the things.
Yeah. So
all right. So should we talk about this jacked up situation that's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I want to start out with, you guys, is something that Allie sent me yesterday. And I want to start out with this because the fact is, it was written by the judge who presided over Harmony's brother's adoption. Okay. And it's also been written by a judge. All right. And speaking of judges, the judge who
Hmm.
presided over Anthony Carmelo's trial has given an interview. And I wonder if you guys would be interested in going over that. So let me
Ooh.
know. Yeah, because he had a lot of interesting things to say. And I would like to also just take just a moment to toot my own horn. Toot, toot. Some of the things that I said about why he did what he did, he also said. So sometimes I'm smart. Yay, me.
So you were right. That's
I
pretty cool, though, when a judge comes on and does an interview like that. Like we saw that with Casey Anthony, but I don't think we see it a lot. I haven't seen it
no,
a whole lot.
not usually. No. Now, you know who else did give an interview is the Arizona judge who presided, whose name escapes me right now, and I know the chat's going to know it, but the judge who presided over Lori Dumbbell.
Mm.
Yes, yes. So and Nate had it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
I
here's
think you should do it, but yeah,
you
I'm glad
think
you're
so?
starting with this. Yeah, I think you should. I would like to hear you talk about both of those, honestly. But
Okay.
with this today, like I'm glad you're starting with this because remember, this judge is the one who did that full report about
Yes.
CPS too, and was trying to get
Yes.
like something done about the state being held accountable for what happened to Harmony because they have some responsibility, you
They
know.
did, well, yeah, and they lost a judgment too, saying exactly that. Her mother
So
was awarded a judgment because of that.
yeah, yep.
Boreski. Yes, yes, Judge Boreski. Thank you, Jenny. All right, here we go. For those who have followed Harmony's story with me and who care about this beautiful little girl, here is my statement on the decision by the New Hampshire Supreme Court to overturn the conviction and send the case back for a new trial. Once again, the state of New Hampshire has decided to extend the unconscionable abuse of Harmony Montgomery even further by overturning the conviction of Adam Montgomery. The court did not find Adam Montgomery innocent, nor did it conclude that Harmony was not murdered. Rather, it determined that legal errors regarding the joinder of charges deprived him of a fair trial on the murder count and ordered a new trial. Nothing, when it comes to this case, has been fair to a beautiful little girl who was brutally abused by her violent father and then brutally treated by the New Hampshire child welfare system. It is impossible to discuss this case without thinking first of Harmony. Long before there was a criminal trial or an appeal, there was a little girl who was failed by the adults and institutions charged with protecting her. The decision is also deeply personal for me. I was the judge who finalized the adoption of Harmony's brother Jameson just weeks before Harmony was murdered. I came to know Jameson's adoptive fathers, Blair and Jonathan Miller, even before I finalized the adoption. I worked alongside them to tell Harmony's story in a cruel injustice. Those are in quotes. We developed a deep and lasting friendship between our families. Through that experience, I witnessed firsthand the profound love they have for their children and the enduring pain caused by Harmony's loss. Today's ruling changes the legal path forward, but it does not change the underlying tragedy. Harmony remains the victim. Her brother and his family carry on an imaginable, I'm sorry, her brother and his family carry an imaginable burden. My first reaction to today's decision is not as a former judge, but as someone who has spent years examining how New Hampshire's child protection system failed Harmony Montgomery at virtually every turn. Those failures do not and did not end with Harmony. The reversal is disappointing because it means yet another chapter in a case that should never have existed in the first place. Long before there was a criminal trial, an appeal, or a Supreme Court decision, there was a little girl who was repeatedly failed by the very institutions charged with protecting her. The public should never forget that Harmony's death did not occur in a vacuum. Reports of abuse were not properly investigated. Evidence presented at trial contradicted key representations made in the governor's report regarding the state's response to those reports. Opportunities to intervene were missed. Warnings were ignored. And a vulnerable child was left in circumstances that ultimately proved fatal. The criminal case may be entering a new phase, but the systemic failures that left Harmony vulnerable and placed her on a lethal trajectory remain unaddressed today. Those failures remain every bit as deserving of scrutiny and accountability as they were before this decision was handed down. New Hampshire's responsibility for the failures that placed Harmony in danger remains exactly the same today as it was yesterday. That's what she wrote. I feel like, did she maybe edit this? Because I thought one of the things that I read that she wrote was that the only person who deserved a second chance was Harmony, and she didn't get one. Maybe she edited this. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. And then I saw what you and Tess sent me. Thank you both. And this is from You Talk. I'm going to click on this. Okay.
Okay. Which, yeah, you can show it if you want, or I can read it, or you can read it because I have it pulled up. Whatever
read
you
it.
want to do.
You read it. You read it. They done hurt me. They done hurt me. You read.
Okay. Just one. Okay, sorry, I had to cough and clear my throat. Okay. We are absolutely disgusted by the decision of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. The reality is, and this comes from Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, who was worked really closely with the judge who adopted Jameson and also fostered Harmony for a little bit. Right? Am I right about that?
Oh, don't get
Why
me
is my
lying.
brain?
I don't know. My brain is done too. So yeah.
But they've been very vocal. One of them is a reporter for I don't know which one, so don't even let me tell you. But this is from Jameson's dad. So we are absolutely disgusted by the decision of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. The reality is more protection is in place for this monster than Harmony Montgomery ever received. It's always been our hope and prayer that Harmony's brother and our son Jameson would not have to experience court proceedings where he would see or hear about the nightmare that his sister lived. We always wanted his youth to help shield him. This decision by the justice system now means the nightmare returns and his innocence will be victimized again and again. It's not right. Our family is devastated by this decision. Harmony deserves more justice than this. Jameson deserves to not be repeatedly victimized by hearing about the sister he loves so much. Every night at bedtime, he places a blanket with Harmony's picture on his heart. I only pray that we can protect that heart from being shattered even more. We are so grateful for the support our son has received from so many of you. He will forever know about that and what you mean to our family. Jonathan and I will continue the fight for Harmony in the court system, and legislatively, we hope you will too. No child deserves any of this. So Blair posted this and tagged Jonathan, and their partners, a couple. And he also tagged the judge. So. Yeah, that is freaking sad. That little boy holds a picture and a blanket over his heart every night at bedtime. Oh God. And for a child, like for an adult, our world is big. A child's world is much smaller. They know the people, they know that they are around, that their family and their little friends, and they don't realize how big the world is. They just don't. And oh God, that just hurts my heart so
It's
much.
sad. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And it for me, there's a conflict, okay, in me because you guys know that's basically what my channel is covering trials. And as such, I do support the justice system. And if for me, I support the right to a fair trial.
Hmm.
And I am not so certain that if they had charged and tried Adam separately, so one trial for the murder charge and then another separate trial for the assault on Harmony. This is the assault that he is charged with is the one that happened a few months prior, the one where she had a black eye, he gave her a black eye. And I'm not so certain that this this would have resulted in anything different. I don't think that the state, I'll tell you, this is what I think. I think that, I think that, um, I think that the jury listened and gave a lot of credibility to Kayla Montgomery. And
Hmm.
don't make no mistake, I ain't got nothing for that hoe. Nothing. Okay? Nothing good to say. Anything that I would say about her would be negative. I mean, she's not a good person. It isn't as if she reported this ever. Okay, so let's say we believe her story, which I mean, there is evidence that he did assault her. I don't know if she was actually. I don't know how in fear she was of Adam on the day that he did this. But whatever. Okay, it's not like once they were arrested that she came clean immediately. She didn't.
Mm-mm. She
You
lied
know,
and lied. Yeah, and it
she
wasn't.
lied to the grand jury.
Yeah, and let me correct this because I, as far as the statement we just read, and they did
Hmm.
not, because I remember now. I saw Tessa's comment in the chat, and I remember an interview with Harmony's foster mom, and I remember her testimony
Yes.
at trial.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Okay, so but they didn't foster her. What it was when that they adopted Jameson, and right before Harmony went back, they wanted to adopt her. They were
Yes.
asking if they could, and then yeah. So that was it's just like in the moment I couldn't remember like on the spot, so I wanted to clear that up. But no, Bendy, you know what though? I'm sorry with Kayla. I was grossed out from the beginning. You were too. We all were, and
We all were.
enraged that they and like I'm sorry. I just from the
You
beginning I never believed her story because um just or I believed her, but I believe there was more that she left out. Like I'm not saying that she made all of this up. There was obviously evidence, but remember, not only did she set up front, like we talked about yesterday, she set up front while Harmony was attacked in the back. I didn't go into detail because we were on a trauma lab, but she set
right.
up front while Harmony is punched and attacked in the back, while Harmony's making weird noises and crying, and she never turned around once. She even, when they went through a drive-through,
Yeah,
handed her
just gonna
food
say.
without turning. Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm sorry, but then not only that, Jen, I was thinking last night, then she carried around her body, you
Yes.
know, for Adam and had it like in between her kids on a stroller and things like that. She is no better and taking her word. I feel like it's just one person trying to get out of something they might have been
Yes.
into too. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. That they're culpable in. And let me just say
mm-hmm,
this. I under the state because they did not have Harmony's body and they still don't. That piece of shit still won't open his fat trap
mm,
and say where she's at. Okay? Because that's exactly what he is, a piece of shit. And Kayla is like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't look. I wasn't paying attention. Blah, 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 blah. Not only all of that, okay, but they put Harmony up in the ceiling at the shelter they were staying at, where she got knocked up with the next baby.
Duh. Yes.
So fuck her and fuck Adam. Fuck you both. You're trash. Absolute
And,
trash.
while he was violent, we know that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think she was all that scared of him. I think like she was violent too. I think they were both chaotic, violent, unstable people, right? And so I don't think she was this like, look, just cowering. Kayla was feisty herself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just, yeah, like, okay, a comment in the chat is what made me think of this. And I'll ask you,
Okay.
can you imagine this from Patricia, which, hey, Patricia, she said,
Oh, from Patricia.
can,
Okay.
can you imagine setting a foot away from a man while he beats a little girl to death and you do nothing about it? Imagine, put yourself in that instance where any kid is being hurt. You would stand up for that child or you would immediately get them help, something. Um, it would never happen in our presence, right? But just say you
No,
were near a child, like,
I would
imagine.
take an ass. I would take the ass beating for a child. I would intervene and rescue the child, even if it meant my
Yes.
own detriment, even if it was at my own demise. I would absolutely. Everyone would absolutely. Most people, except for Kayla, and there are other women. There are and other people,
Mm-hmm.
not just women, but there are others who have failed to protect children, and I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
I don't get it either. I would take the ass beating too. And also, I mean, even how about this? I don't give a that's out the window. Let's set that aside for a second.
Okay.
You don't okay, don't intervene, but you don't even check on the little girl. You don't even try to make sure she's okay. And a lot of I just think a lot of people would. They would just check on her or say so, like, yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't even turn around. When she handed her food, she did not even look at her. She just said, I just reached my arm back and I felt her blanket and set it on the blanket. She was
Which
back there making weird noises and stuff.
right, which is a lie because she was also feeding the boys from the front seat because they were little. They were in
Yeah.
car seats.
Yeah, but I think Harmony was right behind her and she just didn't care, or at
She
least tried to
just did not.
claim she didn't
I, I,
care.
I agree. No, I believe she didn't care. I think that, and I think I know what you meant that she didn't check. Um,
Yeah.
I think that Kayla is a lying liar face who tells lies. I think there is a whole lot more to that story. I think there
Hmm.
is a whole lot more to her involvement in all of it. I
Yes.
do think she knows exactly where Harmony is because her and Adam had a very toxic, fucked up relationship and they kept tabs on one another. And there is no
Hmm.
that he would not. I'm, Adam is a criminal who has criminal thinking, and I think that he absolutely would have told Kayla where Harmony was, if nothing else, to keep her just as culpable as he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was
Just for
not
that reason
trying to
alone.
protect, exactly. He was not trying to help her, to keep her in the dark, to protect her on some level. Get bent,
And let's
Kayla.
not forget
Nobody
about her
believes that
testimony.
shit.
Her
Go ahead.
testimony about when because this is the truth of what they did. They didn't just abuse and murder this baby, they
Mm-mm.
also abused her body, her corpse. And
Yes.
when you remember the testimony about the shower, and
Let me just pull up her testimony, okay?
yes, yes,
Don't
that's a
play with
perfect
me,
idea.
Kayla. I will bring the damn receipts, ma'am.
But I'm so glad you're playing this because like that, just that part where they're moving her from one bag to the next, and she could recognize her face. She saw like her little like uh, they're putting lye and chemicals on this baby, and it's just bitch, you and she's walking free. Think about that. She took part in doing that to a baby and is walking free. She didn't go tell anybody. She didn't get help. She didn't go tell the next day when she could get away. Nope. God.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Give me just a second. I'll pull it up for you guys. Let me turn
Hey,
on the
Tiff.
closed captions because you know she's a mumbler because they got her
Yes.
so damn ass sedated.
Look,
Ugh.
Tiff from Texas said, Jen Lou, when I heard this shit yesterday, I immediately thought about you.
Oh, I appreciate that, you guys. That look, I don't like to. These make me sad, and I don't know why. The year of 2026 is the year of motherfucking do-overs. Okay,
Yeah.
for people who don't deserve a do-over. Letitia, we looking at you. Adam, and
Yeah.
you, Alex Murdaugh, you're guilty. And I want to make this very, very, very clear. Okay, just like the judge said in her ex Twitter tweet, Twix, her Twix. I don't know what else to call it. This is not a conviction overturned on the actual merits of the conviction, like the evidence. Okay, this is a conviction overturned on a technicality, and when it comes to those types of errors, where there is even the slightest hint at the defendant not getting a fair trial, the higher courts will usually just say, okay, give him a new trial, especially because they rejected everything else.
Right.
You know, none of his this is still a direct appeal, but none of his appeals on the evidence,
Right.
you know, were successful. Now, we're going to get into more of the appeal because I noticed that part of the appeal included Kayla's testimony, but I don't feel that the judge, I, in the articles we read yesterday, and like Ali said, we were in the middle of Krama. We didn't want to get into it. That's like not the time or the place. And so she and I decided, well, okay, we'll do it. Well, we were going to do it last night. And then I was like, but bro, I got to be up at 4:30. So no, let's do it this morning. Now, okay. So, is there a specific? Well, let's just hear what she has to say.
Let's just hear it. Yeah. It's been
reflect it.
forever.
Yeah,
But can I just tell you something real quick?
of course.
I'm gonna go inside and make something to eat while we're playing, but I can unmute and
Perfect.
stuff. But I gotta tell you, it is so hot out here already. At 10:30 in the morning, it is 89 degrees.
Okay, I'll tell you what it is here. That's friggin' hot because
I
it
know.
was like that yesterday here. Today it's only 80 right now, but we're having a high of 93, which for Texas is actually like a motherfucking cool front. Okay, we're usually in the hundreds at this point. Okay.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
just like before we get started, I want to reassure everybody. Okay, Nancy Grace, we're looking at you because you should know damn better. I saw what you did with Letitia saying she could walk free. Get Nancy. Stop
Over
it.
and over.
Over and over. Adam is in prison on other charges. Okay, that other convictions. Sorry, I shouldn't say charges. He's not awaiting trial. He's been tried. He's got weapons charges, all the abuse of the corpse, all the things. He is not going anyplace. He ain't finna walk free. Okay. So don't y'all worry. The thing about the trial that's going to be difficult, and yes, before y'all even ask, of course I'm going to stream it, just like I'm going to stream Tisha's new trial. And yes, I'm going to roast her at every opportunity. Okay. So don't y'all worry. We will definitely catch up. Before she even starts talking, see, I love the fact that My husband set it up for me so that I could monitor the stream without having to like use my phone. But also, sometimes I lose the mouse. I found it again. Okay. Before she even starts talking, let's just hear this real quick because um, there's two things. Mac, what do you think about this conviction being overturned? I know, Mac. Can you believe this bullshit? And then to Kayla, before you even speak, where's it at? I can't remember which one it is. I think it's this one.
Fuck.
No, you shut up! Don't talk to me! Don't talk to me, criminal!
All right, are we ready to hear it? All right, here we go. While she's playing, I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to have a cig because she enrages me, infuriates me. So here we go.
Kayla, if you could just remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're going to provide this jury will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can make yourself some water there for you.
She's beat everybody. Okay, Sam's pride has beat everyone. I have you all beat on temp. It's going to be 100 degrees today here in Gilbert, Arizona. Well, that is because everybody knows that Arizona is the seventh layer of hell in the summertime. And I don't want to hear from people that live where I live in the South, where it's muggy. It's a dry heat. Let me tell you about a dry heat, okay? Go turn your oven on to 110 degrees. Let it get all good and preheated, and then go open that oven door. And then you tell me about a dry heat. It's like getting smacked in the face with hot air from a hairdryer, okay? Dry heat doesn't make it better. It's still hotter than 9 kinds of hell.
My dad tries to say that. He's like, man, I swear, there's a different kind of heat that's not like here. You're not covered. So, like, here, you just get soaking wet. It's so humid right by the water and stuff.
Right.
But he swears that would be a better kind of heat.
No,
but
the only reason it's a better kind of heat is because not during the day when the fucking sun is out, okay? Because yes, you will go outside and start sweating. However, the good thing about the desert is that when the sun goes down, it does cool off. Like, it will be nice outside, unlike Texas or Florida or the southern states, especially the dirty South, where it's still 89 degrees at 9:00 at night. Okay, here we go. Now for real. Look at her. Ugh.
Kayla, can you begin by stating and spelling your full name for the record?
My name is Kayla Montgomery, KaylaMontgomery.
And how old are you?
Trash.
Kayla?
yes.
33.
That's how you spell your name.
Where do you currently live?
Listen to how
I'm in the correctional
sedated.
facility for women in Concord, New Hampshire.
Completely.
How long have you been there?
Not long enough.
Over a year.
Not long enough.
Kayla, why are you currently incarcerated?
Because I'm trash.
For perjury, for lying on to the jury about the whereabouts of where I was and where
So you're
Harmony-
incarcerated for perjury, for lying about where you were and where Harmony was, but we're going to take your testimony and use it against Adam? That's
Exactly.
makes a
See,
lot of
this
sense.
is the thing. But they have to get that out. We talked about this when the trial was going on. They have to get that on the table and address it immediately. They have to acknowledge that she is a lying liar face who tells lies. Now,
Yeah.
I do think this is what I think, and I think Allie agrees with me, but maybe not. We'll hear about it. I do think that when it comes to Kayla, I do think she's telling the truth about what happened to Harmony. I do, but I also think that she's lying by omission. I think that she's lying about everything that she did. I think when Allie said what she said, don't get it twisted. I think that Allie is just saying, well, how come this hoe left her part out? You ain't telling the whole truth, and we know
Yes, Adam. No, throw him away too. I'm not saying that he didn't do any of this. He
Right.
very likely did, and I find him to be an abusive monster as well. But
Yes.
I believe that we can't trust her to tell the truth about her own involvement. Why would she? She's never done it up to this point. She's even went to
Absolutely.
prison to keep her mouth shut. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. All right. Now, for real, I'm going to play it and I'm going to have a cig
Okay.
because she pisses me off and I know I'm going to need it. All right. Here we go. You want me to speed her up, you guys? Because she talks so slow and we do have, we do have the closed captions. Oh, no, we don't need a sleep timer. No, don't be doing that, Bindi. All right. Here we go. We'll just speed her up a scotch.
Was.
And when you say lying to the jury, was that the grand jury?
Yes.
Did you also lie to the police?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Because I'm a
Because
lying
I was
liar
scared.
face who tells lies. I lied to everybody. I'm a liar. Okay, I swear to God, I'm not going to stop anymore.
And I was told by Adam to stick with that story, that I got dropped off at work at Dunkin' Donuts, where I no longer worked at that time, and to say that he was bringing Harmony to meet her mother, Crystal, and that he dropped her off with her. And then when he came and picked me up from work, which I was not working there at the time, he didn't have her in the car, which that was a lie.
That story that you just told, that was what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
It's what you told the police?
Yes.
And was that in fact what happened?
No.
You said you've been sentenced for lying.
Yes.
You're living at the prison. Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony?
Yes.
And since those lies, since your time in prison, have you sat down with investigators? Have you sat down with the Attorney General's office and provided additional statements?
Yes.
How many times?
About 4 times.
How many hours?
A couple hours at a time when they've came to see me, or I've gone out to the office to meet with them.
Did you reach a plea agreement with the state?
Yes.
And that was on the perjury charges?
Yes.
Other charges were dismissed, is that right?
Yes.
The story that you just told about the defendant dropping Harmony off with Crystal, who came up with that story?
Adam,
Why did you stick to it?
because I was scared for myself and my children that are also Adam's, and for him, because I didn't want anybody to get in trouble and I was scared.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Taylor, you referred to Harmony Montgomery just now. How do you know her?
She's Adam's daughter, and he started a year after we got together. He was working on getting custody of her, and he had to work to get custody of her. He wasn't just given her, and it took 4 years to get custody of her. And during those 4 years, we both visited her each week for a couple hours.
Was she your stepdaughter?
Yes.
Showing this witness what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 98 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Who's depicted in this image?
Harmony and myself.
And can you point to Harmony? And is there a date associated with this image?
Yes. July 7th, 2019.
And do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of Harmony on that day?
Yes.
Who's the other person depicted in that picture with Harmony?
Myself.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of you that day?
Yeah.
Do you know who took this photo?
I did.
Your Honor, at this point I'd move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 98
Any objection? No objection.
and publish.
The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit, and it may be published to the jury.
Ayla, what were you and Harmony doing in this photograph?
We were taking pictures and laughing, playing. we always did silly pictures.
You mentioned getting custody of Harmony at some point. Do you remember when that was?
It was the month of February of 2019.
And where were you living when you got custody of Harmony?
77 Guilford Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
When you got custody of Harmony, was she potty trained?
Yes.
Was she potty trained after you got her or before you got her?
Before.
Did she have accidents when you first got her?
No.
So you mentioned 77 Guilford Street. When did you move into that home?
It was in 2018. Probably around April or May. I think it was around that time.
Whose home was it?
Adam's grandmother's, Helen Montgomery.
Did she live there with you at any point?
Yes, when we were staying there in the beginning, she lived there.
And in the beginning, who else lived there with you?
Adam's uncle, Kevin Montgomery, Adam's brother, Michael Montgomery, and Adam's brother's girlfriend, Kayla. I don't remember her last name.
Another Kayla, though.
Yeah. And myself and Adam, and we had Seamus.
How old was Seamus when you moved into that house?
About to turn 1.
Would you recognize that Guilford Street house if you saw it today?
Yes.
You are in that version.
Yes.
Look, she's so gross. Do we know she's crying for herself? She's not crying because of what she did. She's not sorry. She is a monster and
Exactly.
the epitome of evil, just the same as Adam. The way that they show their level of evil is different, but their evil is the same. Make no mistake. The level of evil that exists in these two assholes is exactly the same. Make no mistake about it.
Oh my God, I'm just having a flashback. Remember, she still
Yes.
loved him. She was wanting
Yes.
to get.
Remember, you guys, remember when she was negotiating to talk about everything, she wanted to see Adam one last time.
Yeah, and didn't
Yeah.
she write him a letter or something?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes. So please explain to us again, Kayla, how scared you were. And do I believe that she was scared? Yes. Do I believe the reason she gave is why she was scared? No. She didn't. She knew what they did. She knew that they were going to go away for a long time and never be together again. That's
Exactly.
what she was scared of. That's it. That's all.
Yep, she lived in fear of that every single day.
Exactly.
Oh my God, just the fact that, like, can you imagine if anybody, even if a man is like too hateful with a child, I'm going to side eye you and not like you anymore. Like, so
Right.
can you imagine if, like, how do you still have attraction to somebody after you see him do something like that? If you really are so turned off by it.
Exactly. Exactly. She was not scared because she
No.
knew exactly what kind of person he was. She decided to have expose another child. But you know what? And this is what's so sad. There was lots of testimony about this. The reason that Adam, and he did, and this is so hard for me to say because it's so anti what a parent is, but he hated Harmony because he hated her mother. So why get custody of her at all? People are asking. Well, or might be wondering, you're not actually asking in the chat. The reason they got custody, I think, is because of benefits.
Well, the weird thing was, if you remember, whenever he got custody, he actually had straightened up. He was sober and he was doing pretty good. And you know those pictures of him and her on the trampoline and stuff? Like, I wonder if part of them didn't want to be parents to her and be good parents. And because why else, like when they were sober, you know
Right.
what I mean? And benefits, yeah, I think that's definitely part of it, because remember, she continued to get them as well, and got in trouble for that, for lying and getting benefits for Harmony. But I wonder if, like, when they were sober, if they didn't, if he didn't, why else, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Because I think that part of it was the money, the benefits. The other part was sticking it to Crystal because he hated her. And
Yeah.
then I think um, you can get sober. That's not that. I mean, obviously they were heroin addicts, so that is a hard one to get sober from. Okay, but there's more to get. There's more to healing from addiction and being in recovery than
Oh,
just
yeah.
getting off of the substance. And you don't, and I don't think that he dealt with any of those issues either.
Yeah, and he
And
wasn't
so,
sober like super long that I like.
no, no, I think he did. I think he did. I think he fooled the system. And I think the system, obviously, very obviously, failed Harmony. The thing about, and I think this is something that needs a broader discussion too, is that the goal of CPS is reunification. It is to keep families together. It's not actually to remove children. So
Hmm.
when you think about it in those terms, okay, if that's their goal, everything they do is towards that end.
Yeah. It's pretty counterproductive to the health of the child, oftentimes, and very frustrating. Sometimes reunification isn't the answer, but that is their goal, and it seems like it's kind of, with all cases, that's where they go first. And
Exactly.
I don't personally like that, but that's,
I think that the way that it should be is the priority, the goal is what's best for the child.
yeah.
That's it. That should be their ultimate and top goal and top priority. What is best for the child? And biology does not make somebody best for the child.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just not their parents, and they need to realize that. But
Exactly. Exactly. But also, when a child, you're called out, because remember, they were called out when Harmony had a black eye. Adam's uncle is the one that called them.
yep.
And when they were called out, the social worker didn't actually really, they were leaving when the social worker came, which
Yeah.
should be a gigantic red flag. Okay.
Yep.
And he was, and then not, and then they just bought Kayla's explanation. So Kayla, spare us these tears.
Yeah, they literally saw Harmony getting in the car with Adam and skirting out of there. Saw her from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
That it, like you said, hello. When somebody goes to run and leave so they don't have to talk to you, isn't that like, hey, what's going on here? Doesn't that? But
Exactly.
again, that's why they've been sued for so much money, and they have judges. I mean, they're just disgusting in
Which
themselves. So,
which the judgment sends a message, right? The fact that they were found liable, but this is the catch 22 about that. Where does that award money come from? Well, it comes from the state, and obviously they're already underfunded, and it never and yeah, in the interim, it sends a message that they were liable, but it doesn't actually address the issue. It does nothing
no,
to
you're right.
change it. And now we've taken funds. Now they've taken funds away. So now they're even at
Yeah.
more of a deficit.
Yeah, you're right. And oh man, I don't know. I've wanted to get into more detail about some of these topics before,
Me
because they
too.
bother me a lot, like the reunification and well, even just CPS in general. I mean, this is not the only state they're being sued in. This is
No.
not the only state. As a matter of fact, last night I saw a video of a little girl or a baby who had wandered like far away and into the road, and now CPS is coming out and going, "Hey, we actually had contact with this family." I don't know. There's something more to the story here, because
Mm-hmm.
but it's constantly these children are murdered, and we find out, oh, CPS was what was supposed to be watching. They weren't checking. They weren't doing their job. It's constant.
It's constant.
They're just
Constant. Is there a part, should we skip, where should we skip to? Hold on, let me take this off the screen and let me search the transcript for like maybe, what do you want to actually, what should we actually hear about
maybe
that?
the letter that she was writing him.
Okay, hold on, let me search the transcript.
Tiff says, why did her boys survive, but Harmony is impeded? Yeah, I don't know. Patricia, he's proud of killing his little girl. That's why he has a tear tattoo on his face for everyone to see how proud he is. He's a demon. He's definitely, his body language and demeanor definitely says a lot, I think, as well. But the tear, though, I think that he had that, didn't he, before he got her? The tear
Yes,
tattoo?
I think so, yes. Which, the origins of the tear are not a good one, okay? It used to signify in prison that you were a bitch. That's
Oh, I
what it
didn't
meant.
know that.
Yes, that's where the origin. I looked it up one time because I was like, I don't know what made me look. You guys know how I roll. I just something will pop in my brain, and I will hit up the Googles, and I did. And the origins of the teardrop tattoo are not to show that you are a killer. It's that you are a bitch in prison, and that the
Bendy.
teardrop. Yeah. Uh-oh. What happened? What happened, Allie? Where'd you go? Oh dear. Okay. Well, hold on. Let me not make myself so big. Ain't nobody need to see all that much of Bindi. All right. I got to the letter part. Okay. Hold on a second. We'll go about right here. Hold on a second. Allie's messaging me. Hold on. What has she said? Oh. Shit. All right. Hold on. All right. I got it. I got the part with the letter too that you guys were talking about. Let me play that and then I'll pull these other ones up.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I found
Thank you,
two
babe.
shorts. When I found them, I lost sound, and that's what I don't know if you heard me say
I
Bendy.
did.
I hope I didn't
I did.
interrupt you. I just
You
refreshed
didn't.
because it just cut all my sound. But okay.
You didn't. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up for you guys.
Dude, did it happen again? No. What the
No,
heck?
I can hear you.
And
Can
I
you hear
haven't played
me?
anything.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let me close this. Let me make this big. All right. All right. This is about the letter.
I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning.
Yes.
And you wrote, I'm done talking. And you wrote a little bit more, and then you said, I can't help anymore. I'm sorry. I can't help you. Look at me, however. And I actually can't read it. To show you a copy of Exhibit A2 for ID and actually ask you what it says.
Can you give me that word? You can look at me, however.
And I'm asking you if you said this stuff, if you need to refresh your recollection, you can, okay?
Okay.
So you said, I'm sorry, I can't help. You can look at me, however. Think of me, however. You just need to get him to talk because I can't get him to say anything to me. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me. And if he isn't telling me, how am I supposed to help you? I'm done talking. And then it goes on a little more for other stuff that I won't say, okay?
Okay.
Is that what you wrote for him?
Yes.
And you were done talking, right?
And I remember it saying I want a lawyer.
You did, right? In
Yes.
that letter.
Yes.
And you said that you were done talking
Oh,
and you
her
were getting your
stupid
lawyer and you
face.
wanted to go home now, please,
Her
right?
absolute
Yes.
stupid
So,
face. And let's also just not forget about this, okay? Adam was tried in absentia. He never showed up beyond jury selection. Once the trial actually started, he was out. Remember
Yep.
that? He
Yep.
refused.
It's
Refused.
crazy. He's such a punk. I think he's so, it reminds me of Chris Watts. You know what I mean? You're so
Yes.
cowardly. You can't even stand there and face what you've done.
No. And by the way, the Dybbuk is back.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, listen.
Yes.
Hold on. I also, let me see if this works. Did that fix it?
Yes.
Dude, it's the iPhone mic. It keeps switching to my iPhone mic and off my AirPods.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the demon comes. But I just found one more video. I don't know if you want to play it. I'm just sending it because it's a shorter one. It's about 1 hour long. Or I mean,
Okay.
not 1 hour. There was a 1 hour, but I found a 20-minute about how she was killed. Now,
Okay.
because it's Kayla describing that. That's up to you. And then those two
Yes.
shorts I think would be interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, but after
All
we hear
right.
this.
Okay.
Just so
All
you
right.
know.
Thanks, babe. You're such a good helper. All right.
You're
Here we
welcome.
go.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer this as a full exhibit.
Any objection?
She's just so damn smug.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you were pointing the finger at Adam having done something wrong, not you, right?
Right.
And you were lying to the police about what happened, right?
Right.
And you were giving them a lie that pretty much gave you, made you look completely innocent.
Yes.
Okay. And then they came to you another time
Yes.
while you were at the Fit shelter,
Yes.
and they wanted to ask you about Adam, right?
Yes.
Because they actually saw you and Adam talking outside of the Fit shelter, and Adam had just walked away, and they came up, right?
I don't remember how that went, but I guess.
Okay. Pretty much right after Adam walked away, they walked up, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. When they told you that they wanted to talk about Adam, you just sort of smiled at him and walked away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when the officer asked you to come to the police department, you said you'd already told him everything, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie as well, right? And then
Okay, so Shamina says, and didn't she get mad because he was with another woman, and that's why she started telling some
Yep.
truths? Yes.
Yep.
Now, she says it was after he beat the crap out of her, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's not true.
Yep. He was
not-
hanging out with that girl, and that girl now has
Mhm.
passed away. Remember?
Yep, she OD'd.
Yep.
All right, so let me get you guys over to this short that Allie sent because she's such a good helper. All right. Are y'all it's on the screen? Yeah. Okay, let's play it.
I put my arm up and said to stop, but he looked at me and he gave me this look that was like evil. His crazy eyes. I didn't like it, and I couldn't stop him from hitting her because the look that he gave me was scary. I was scared.
What were you feeling when he looked?
I don't give a rat's fat kneecap if the devil himself took over in that moment. Okay? I would have, we all would have stopped him. I don't care what you say. Let me see. Can I?
Yeah.
Move this? Yeah.
And it's more than just stopping him. You lied for a long time after that. It wasn't-
Exactly. It's not like you were scared and so you felt like you if you intervened, he was going to hurt and or kill all of you guys. That's not, you know, you can, you know, it's not like that happened and then as soon as you could get to someone, you told. No,
Exactly.
you didn't. And it wasn't even after you guys were separated for a while. No, like after the brainwash, you know how, look, because people that are battered wives or battered spouses, I should say, battered partners, you know, there is a level of influence that happens and it takes a while to get out from underneath that level of influence. So that is, but that's not what happened here. You started telling the truth because you were mad that he was boinking some other chick. Stop playing with these people, Kayla.
Yep, exactly.
Like that.
Like he was either going to hit me or just, I don't know. It was weird. And that was like one of the first times that I've seen him look at me like that. I put my arm up and said to stop, but he looks at me and he gave me this look that was like evil.
All right. Let me get this other one for you guys. Give me un momentito. How do I? Here. Okay. This one.
I didn't watch him. I just saw the
All right.
description of them, and I
Is
thought,
about the NutriBullet, which is obviously going to be very difficult for us to listen to because she's discussed it's gross. And then Allie sent me another one, and I'll play that one too. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, neat. Thank you for gifting a membership, babe. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see who got it. Stacy Ann got it. Congratulations. Is that what that says? Yeah, Stacy Ann. Congratulations. Thanks, Neat. I appreciate that, babe. You didn't have to do that. All right, here we go.
Got it. You mentioned a NutriBullet?
Yes.
Got it. You mentioned a NutriBullet?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors what that is, what a NutriBullet is?
It's like a blender that you can make smoothies in or any kind of puree food item.
And what did the defendant say about using a NutriBullet, a blender, on Harmony?
When we lived on Union Street,
What did he say about it?
he said that it would be good to use. It would help get rid of her.
It helped get rid of Harmony.
Yes.
Got it. You mentioned a NutriBullet?
Yes.
You stayed and you covered. Shamina, yes, she's on some type of maintenance medicine. I know that they were on methadone, that they would go to the methadone clinic. I don't know what they were giving her while she was in jail. Okay, so hold on just a sec.
well, yeah, and the way she says that is just so like, really?
Yeah,
Like,
just no biggie. He just wanted to put a child who he'd murdered in a fucking NutriBullet. Piece of so disgusting. All right, here's the next one.
like I said, I hadn't watched him because we were live when I grabbed him. I just grabbed him because it was her talking about what happened, and I want to watch like her body language and her tone and stuff. Yeah,
me too. And
I thought you would want to see
get this over here. No, you did a great job. You're always doing a great job.
Thank you, Bendy.
You're welcome. You know you're my best. All right, closed captions because she's a mumbler. We'll speed her up a little bit because she is annoying. All right.
They did do that, chicken lady. They did all sorts of stuff. They used chemicals and lye and hot water and just all sorts of stuff to. Eventually, she was soft, and it was. I can't remember the exact details, but they did all sorts of abuse and mutilation to try to
They
cover up
did.
what they did. And she was a part of it.
She was. And that's the thing. Law enforcement went and not on the home side, I think, but the city side, the public part of the sewage system, and retrieved
Yeah.
parts of that sewage system, and her DNA was present. Eventually, what ended up happening is that Adam Montgomery rented a moving van and put her in there.
Yep. After she was moved from like these bigger
Right.
bags, like duffel bags, and then into these smaller diaper, like hospital
Yes.
a bag that Kayla had gotten from the hospital. Kayla, up in there sealing it for some
Yep.
time. Kayla carrying Harmony's remains on a stroller from one house to the next. Oh, then he spent some time in the freezer at Adam's work.
At the
Remember
pie
when he's
place.
working at the
Yep.
restaurant? Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's how she got. Okay, so how she got to the restaurant was that the time that Ellie was talking about before, where she had her boys in the stroller and walked with them and Harmony's body. Again, Adam is at work.
Yep.
Okay? She had to go to him, and it's not like it was a quick walk either. At no time, at no point did she ever try and get away from him, to tell what had happened to Harmony. If you truly wanted to protect yourself and your children, that's what you would have done.
Yeah, she wanted them to escape off into the sunset together.
Exactly.
That is what she wanted.
Exactly. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Adam returns to the vehicle after his methadone treatment.
When Adam came back to the vehicle, he could smell urine, and he started yelling at Harmony and kept hitting her in the head repetitively.
Where were you when he smelled that accident? Where was the vehicle when he smelled that accident?
In front of the methadone clinic.
Did you discuss going somewhere with him at any point that morning? Going to get food?
Yes. I asked to go to Burger King.
You asked to go to Burger King?
Yes.
And so at some point, did he begin driving the vehicle?
Yes.
Was that before or after he repeatedly struck Harmony?
After.
What was Harmony doing at that point when he started driving the vehicle?
She was crying a lot.
She was crying a lot?
Yeah. And she was making a weird noise.
Was she saying anything?
No.
And Kayla, I want you to walk the jurors through in as much detail as you can what happened on your route from Habitopco to that Burger King.
Adam was getting really angry from Harmony peeing in the car, and he repetitively kept punching her on the way to Burger King, and there were a couple red lights, and when we were at red lights, he would go over the driver's seat, like in between the passenger seat, and he was just punching her repetitively.
I just want to stop for a second, and because this is really a good comment, and I want to correct. I agree with. I can't agree more with this. ATS News said, "Hi, by the way, good to see you." The fact that he left her alone with the corpse, to me, says she was more involved in the murder because he trusted she wouldn't rat him out for a while for it. Exactly. He was never scared. In fact, now you would think, okay, if she had the dirt on him, right? You would think he wouldn't even entertain the idea of seeing another chick, let alone actually do it. But he did.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I agree.
Yeah, that's
y'all.
a fantastic point. Like I think that all of the behavior that existed between the two of them for all that time is indicative of Kayla being far more culpable than what she says on the stand. Monster.
In the head.
And you've said there were several times where he punched her repetitively in the head.
Yes.
How many times did he hit her?
I can't count. I don't know.
Were you counting?
No, I wasn't.
How many lights did that car come to where he repetitively struck her?
At least 2 or 3.
Between Habit Opco and the Burger King, did the defendant say anything to Harmony?
I told her to shut the fuck up. Stop crying.
You said she was making a weird noise.
Yes.
Can you describe it?
It was like, I can't even describe it. It was like a moaning kind of noise, but crying. It was just weird. I can't explain it.
Did you try to help Harmony while he was striking her?
Yes.
Tell the jurors what you did to try to help.
I put my arm up and said to stop, but he looks at me and he gave me this look that was like evil. His crazy eyes. I didn't like it, and I couldn't stop him from hitting her because the look that he gave me was scary. I was scared.
What were you feeling when he looked at you like that?
Lady, how scared could you have really been? First of all, he was having to drive a vehicle. You had the upper hand, you fucking idiot. You did nothing because you didn't care. Harmony was a constant reminder of the time that he had been with somebody who wasn't you. Fuck off.
He was either going to hit me or just, I don't know. It was weird. And that was like one of the first times that I've seen him look at me like that.
Was it the last time you saw him look at you like that?
No.
And we'll talk about that more. But I want to focus on this drive. You said that Harmony's crying. She's making this weird noise.
Yeah.
Where was she in the vehicle?
She was behind the passenger seat.
And who was in front of her in that car?
I was.
You described the defendant almost coming over the seat.
Yes.
Was he still driving at that point?
Kind of. Between the red lights, and it was definitely at the red lights. I remember that.
How was he striking her?
By punching her in the head.
Where were your other 2 children at that time?
In the back seat.
And what were they doing?
They had no idea what was going on.
How old were they?
Seamus was about 2.5, and Declan was 11 months old.
Did you look back at Harmony at any point?
No.
Why not?
Because I was scared.
What were you scared of?
If Adam was going to say something, or if he hurt her really bad, it was going to look really bad.
You were scared of what Harmony would look like?
You piece of shit. Look, first of all, this is why she's just a sucky mother all around. Okay? He's driving a vehicle and beating the shit out of a kid. I'm sorry. That's so poorly stated. He's beating his own daughter. All right? Who is sitting behind Kayla in the, and she's obviously in the passenger seat. Okay? And at no time do you intervene to stop him at all. And you're saying your kids didn't know anything that was going on. I would love to know how his aim managed to be so good. And weren't you ever worried that he was going to swing and hit your children, your biological children? At no time that wasn't a concern. Your main concern was you. I didn't want to look back there because I was scared of how Harmony would look. Fuck off.
You weak, pathetic bitch. You were scared how she would look? That is so weak. That means what? You were protecting yourself and your feelings? If that's not even true, I don't believe that. But let's say it is, then what? You were too cowardly to be fucking aware of the situation fully? No, because of your own feelings? You were
right.
don't worry about her feelings or helping her or anything like that. It's all about you and what you're scared to see. Are you fucking stupid?
Exactly. I'm not sure, Stacey Ann, who has her kids. I mean, I feel awful
Her
for
mom
them.
had them, but
Yeah, but I don't know what their status is now, and hopefully they're far away and she'll never get near them again. Honestly, nobody.
unfortunately, I don't believe that's true. If her mom has them, she'll probably be in their
Yeah,
lives somewhat the way that
I'm sure.
that's the way I understood it at the
Me
time,
too.
like being annoyed. Yeah. So, but my thought is them too, because I'm listening to that and I think one day they're going to see this testimony. You know, they'll seek it out. You know it, at least
Of
one of them.
course. Yeah.
And they're going to hear about exactly what happened, what their mom claimed happened, and they were right there for it. That is
Yeah.
haunting. That is terrible what
Yeah.
they put them through too.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, and that's just on that day. It's not like this was the first isolated incident of Adam beating Harmony. Okay, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just the first of many. It just ended. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was the last of many. It was the
Yes.
final time, is what I should have said. And those children were around that as well. But they were also around. They were, first of all, they were living in a car. Okay, they were living in a car. Let's start there. That's abject neglect.
Yeah.
Okay. And they
Absolutely.
always had enough money and enough gas and enough everything so that they could get to the methadone clinic. Now, I'm not saying that maintaining your sobriety is not important. It is important. However, they were also using drugs. It's not like they were just, they were,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
trying to stay sober.
It wasn't
All they
about
were,
being sober at all. That was
no,
just to keep them from being sick if they couldn't get their
exactly.
drugs
It's
and to
just to
make,
keep them, yeah, just to keep them well. That's all it
yep.
was. Make no mistake.
But the commenter, the Amber and Patricia both said in the chat, and I think I agree. Like, look at her face right here, Bindi, how she's pressing her lips together.
Yep.
Don't body language people say that,
Yes.
like, that's kind of you keeping in stuff?
Yes. That is you keeping yourself from saying something. See, the thing about body language, I mean, I do think that there's credence to it, because the fact of the matter is your brain wants to tell the truth. That's what, like, think about how they talk about how honest kids are, especially young kids. The younger they are, the more honest they are. If you ask a kid, was that good, whatever you fed them, a kid will tell you yes or no. They'll tell the truth when they're young. When they're little, if they think something is gross, they'll tell it. If they think somebody is ugly, they'll tell it, because they haven't learned to lie. You have to learn to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. So a kid, man, you ask them, do I look fat in this? They will say, yes,
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes, you do. Is this the wrong outfit of the day? Yes. It's not good. Don't do it again.
Ugly.
Yes. They tell it. They tell it. Kids
True. Yeah.
learn to lie, and they learn from experiences, right? They learn that, okay, mom said, don't do such and such. I did such and such. She asked me if I did it. I said the truth. I said yes. And guess what? I got in trouble. So they learn to correlate telling the truth with getting in
Yep.
trouble. That's their first, and then as they get older, then they learn a little thing called tact, right? Well, no, that outfit doesn't make you look fat. It's the chocolate
Right.
that you're carrying around on that body that's making you look fat. Don't blame the clothes. They didn't do shit.
Exactly. But so Kayla was in jail at the time of test. She was in prison at the time that she
Mhm.
testified here. And yes, this testimony is part of how she got released. She got what was her deal, Bendy? What's it called? My brain's not working. She got a deal for testifying, though.
Yes, she did.
What do you call it?
Something derivative use immunity.
Yes, there you go. So as long as they felt she was telling the truth and she did not lie, she got immunity for telling about this situation. Now,
Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go.
okay.
That attempt to intervene, were you successful in that?
No.
Did he stop after that?
Shortly after that,
Shortly after that. Did he say anything to you when he stopped?
he said he thinks that he really hurt her. And he felt something.
When he said that he thinks he really hurt her, where was the vehicle at that point?
At Burger King?
At the Burger King?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do after he stopped hitting Harmony, after he said, I think I really hurt her?
Nothing.
Did you order food from Burger King?
Yes.
Ma'am,
Where was Adam?
how the fuck could you stuff your fat face after that? That's what I want to know. How were you able to eat
I know.
after that? I've lost my appetite for far less. Ugh,
Yeah. I don't get it. I do not get it.
I don't either.
When you were ordering food from Burger King?
In the driver's seat?
Did you go inside to the Burger King or something else?
No. I don't remember going in there.
Did you go through the drive-thru?
Yes.
And so who ordered the food?
Adam did.
And what did you do with the food that he'd ordered?
Ate it, gave some to the kids
Where were you when you ate the food?
in the parking lot
Which parking lot?
of Burger King.
Now, the kids were behind you at that point. Is
Yes.
that what you testified to?
Yes.
And who gave them food?
I did.
Did you see Harmony when you were giving them food?
No.
Why not?
Because she was under the blanket.
Who put her under the blanket?
Adam.
That's the same blanket that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
The same blanket he would cover her with?
Yes.
Where did you go from the Burger King parking lot, Kayla?
Went back to Colonial Village
And how did you get there?
with the vehicle, Adam driving.
Was Harmony still under the blanket when you arrived at Colonial Village?
Yes.
And that moaning that you mentioned, that weird noise that she was making, was she still making it?
No.
How long did that noise that she was making last?
I don't remember. It wasn't. I don't remember. I don't remember if it was too long. I don't remember if it was after we were at Colonial Village for a little bit, or if it was before.
But that moaning, did it eventually stop?
Yes.
Did you check on Harmony at any point after the moaning stopped?
No.
Did Adam?
No.
Why didn't you check on her?
Because I was scared.
What? Scared of what? You disgusting piece of shit.
When you arrived at the Colonial Village parking lot, when you arrived back there, what did you and the defendant do?
We got drugs and got high.
There you go. See, they weren't trying to
When
keep
you said we
sober.
got drugs and got high, what drugs did you get, Kayla?
Heroin and crack.
No,
How long
Cammy,
did
she
you use
didn't
those drugs for
eat.
in that parking lot?
We were there for probably 10 or 15 minutes.
Where did you go from the Colonial Village parking lot?
I don't remember where we were going, but I know we left.
You left at some point.
Yes.
And what happened when you left the parking lot?
We made it to the next street over, going towards Elm Street, and the car died when we got to the traffic light, and it wouldn't start or anything, and so we were stuck without a vehicle.
What was the defendant doing when the car died?
He was trying to get a jump, and there was no jumping the vehicle.
Cammy says, isn't that a reason to charge this ish? Yes, she was charged. They made a deal with the other devil. If Sauron from Lord of the Rings was a real person, Adam would be Sauron, and Kayla over here would be Sauron's right hand. they did charge her. You know what? While I play this, I'm going to look up what she was charged with and what all got dropped for her testimony.
Okay.
And so we ended up having to leave it. And when we were getting out of the car and getting the kids out of the car, Harmony had passed away.
Let's talk about that. When you say Harmony had passed away, when did you realize that Harmony had passed away?
When Adam was trying to wake her up and she didn't reply or anything.
Was he saying things to her to try to wake her up?
Yeah, he said Harmony, and he kept saying baby girl, like, and trying to budge her, and there was nothing.
Was he touching her?
Yes.
What was he doing to her body at that point?
Trying to figure out what to do, and getting all the kids out of the car. He took the duffel bag that was in the trunk, and and put her in the duffel bag.
You mentioned this duffel bag from the trunk.
Yeah.
How do you?
Okay, so let me tell you what Kayla Montgomery was originally charged with. Kayla Montgomery was originally arrested and charged with Class A felony theft by deception and misdemeanor welfare fraud. The charges were filed after she allegedly falsely claimed that her stepdaughter, Harmony Montgomery, was living in her household in order to collect food stamp benefits exceeding $1,500. She cooperated with prosecutors as to avoid being charged as like using the law principle. Okay, meaning that even if you're not the person that actually took the victim's life, you were there and you are charged as if you did. So Jenny, I think she helped him do all the things, because let's think about this. They are stopped in the middle of the street in front of God and everybody at a light. Their car won't go, and they've got a dead child. Of course she helped get him into the bag. Of course she helped him cover up. She was complicit the entire time. Not just on that day, but every other day. Every other day.
My audio was being funky. I had to come in and out. It was so ridiculous because I can hear you great. I don't know what's going on with my phone or my AirPods, but it kept going off the AirPods. So that's why I kept coming in and out. So I didn't get to hear everything that she said. Did she mention how they just put the food back on the blanket that she was under and she never really looked? Okay.
They haven't said that yet. They did say that she, I think that part is cross-examination.
Okay.
Because
now
it could
be or in her interview too. I don't remember if we went over that.
No, because I feel like we heard it.
Or...
I feel like we heard it in testimony, and I think it was in cross-examination.
Okay.
That's what I think, because
okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I gotta go have a cig. I can't sit here and listen to her with that. I'll interrupt too many times.
I don't blame you.
I can't do it. I know myself.
Seen that duffel bag before, Kayla? What was it used for?
When we got kicked out of the house, we put clothes in there for everybody. And it was in the trunk of the car.
Did you see him put Harmony in that duffel bag?
Yes.
How did he put her in there, Kayla?
He folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
Did he call 911 at any point?
No.
Did you?
No.
When you saw him put her in that duffel bag, did you attempt to get away?
Oh my
No,
Why not?
because they had the 2 other kids, and I was scared.
Scared of?
That something would happen to me or Adam and the kids.
You said you saw him put her in that duffel bag, fold her up and put her in there.
Yes.
What did her face look like when you saw her go into that bag?
It was all black and blue, and her face was puffy. Her eyes were puffy.
Did he say anything to you after he put her in that duffel bag?
I don't remember.
What did you do after he put her in the duffel bag?
We took the kids and we walked back to Colonial Village.
What did you do once you arrived at Colonial Village?
Put the bag in the snowbank so Anthony wouldn't see it.
I'm sorry, so that who wouldn't see it, Kayla?
Anthony.
That's Anthony Badero.
Yes.
Where was the snowbank that you put? And sorry, let me clarify. Who put her in a snowbank?
Adam.
Where was that snowbank that he put her in?
In the embankment from the parking lot.
What was around that snow embankment?
A dumpster. And cars and snow.
And you said he put it in there so that Anthony Badero wouldn't see.
Yeah.
What did the defendant do after he put that duffel bag in the snowbank?
Left her there. And we got a ride from Badero to get the stuff out of our car.
And where was your car at that point?
It was at that street. We ended up leaving it, and when we came to the car, it was already getting towed.
So Mr. Badero gave you a ride back to your vehicle?
Yes.
Were you able to get belongings out of the vehicle?
Yes.
And who did that? Who got those items out?
Adam and myself.
That vehicle was your home at the time.
Yes.
What did you do after that in terms of a shelter?
Badero let us sleep in his car for the weekend until I figured something out.
Just for the weekend?
Yeah.
Is that what you had asked him for, or is that what he said, just for the weekend?
That's what he said.
And what kind of vehicle did Mr. Badero have?
An Audi.
Do you remember what color it was?
Blue.
Was it a car, a sedan, or an SUV?
A car.
And I want to talk about the time that you were living in that car that weekend. Where was Harmony's body at that point when you were living in Mr. Badero's vehicle?
In the trunk of the car.
And did the defendant ever move it from the trunk of the car to another location?
Yes.
Where would he put it?
Near the dumpster.
Why?
So Anthony wouldn't see it.
Was it cold outside at the time?
Yes.
You mentioned snow. Was there snow on the ground?
Yes.
Go ahead and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony that you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please feel free to have a seat. Mr. Montgomery, as we are being recorded here for the record, could you please go ahead, and I'm going to ask you to please go ahead and state your name, both your first and your last.
Sorry about that. Ended a little more abruptly than I had anticipated. So apparently it's my second day of streaming because I don't know timing. I could see the timing, but didn't pay. No, never mind, apparently. Okay, now let's get over to what the Supreme Court actually said, what the opinion of the Supreme Court was. All right, here we go. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. And read it. Let's see. The defendant, Adam Montgomery, appeals his convictions following a jury trial in Superior Court of second-degree murder, second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, and abuse of a corpse. We affirm in reverse in part and remand. All right, here we go. I'm going to add Allie. Okay, I'm reading the actual opinion. So now we're going to find out exactly what the justices said.
Oh, yes. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Sorry about that because the kids were on a game and it was really messing with my internet. I could only hear like every other word that they were saying in the video. That's why I kept like leaving and coming back. But I finally got them off the game for a few minutes. So I should be good till we're done.
You're back. The Dybbuk is back, which means the mic has been switched. So.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll fix
okay.
it. Okay.
Do you guys want me to read the whole thing? There's 15 pages. I can read all 15 pages if you want. I'll just read
think
it.
so.
Read it all. Okay. The statement of facts. The jury could have found the following facts. The defendant was the biological father of the victim, Harmony Montgomery. In February 2019, the victim went to live with the defendant and his wife, Kayla Montgomery, at the defendant's grandmother's home in Manchester. In July 2019, when the first charged offense occurred, the victim was 5 years old. The other occupants of the home at the time included the defendant's uncle and the two biological children of the defendant and Kayla. Both of those children were younger than the victim. The defendant's uncle returned home in July from a 3-week trip and saw the victim in the kitchen with a black eye. The uncle asked the victim what she had done, and the defendant answered, "She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the fucking house." The uncle testified that the defendant said, quote, he put the victim in charge to watch, end quote, her 5-month-old brother while the defendant used the bathroom. And when the defendant returned, he found the victim with her hands over the baby's mouth and, quote, his lips were supposedly blue. Which I know that we talked about this at the time of the trial, but I do believe that first of all, Harmony was 5 years old. Okay. You don't put a 5-year-old in charge of anything ever. Second of all, likely the baby started to cry, and Harmony knows that the crying is a trigger for her father. And so what she was trying to do in her little 5-year-old way was protect her brother. I don't think that the baby's lips were blue. I think that's bullshit.
I remember we heard, like at the time, we heard there was something about that. Like maybe he said, like, right? Didn't somebody say that Harmony, that the baby had started crying or something? Or did we just theorize that?
I think we might have theorized that because it's not in the statement of facts, but you know.
Okay.
On November 27, 2019, the defendant's family was evicted from the home in Manchester. The defendant, Kayla, and the 3 children began living in their car, which they parked at a friend's apartment complex in Manchester. Although the victim was toilet trained before she was 3 years old, she started to have accidents once the family began living in the car. When the victim had an accident, the defendant became angry and would hit her in the face or her leg or hand. And Kayla actually also said that she hit Harmony as well. She said she would slap her on the hand or on her butt. The defendant became angrier the more accidents the victim had and would then hit her repeatedly. On December 7th, 2019, the victim had an accident early in the morning, and the defendant repeatedly punched her in the head. Later that morning, the family drove to a methadone clinic where Kayla and the defendant took turns going inside while the others stayed in the car with the children. When the defendant returned to the car, he realized the victim had another accident and started yelling at her and hitting her in the head repeatedly. From the methadone clinic, the defendant drove the family to Burger King. While they were driving, the victim was in the back seat crying and making a strange moaning-like noise. The defendant told the victim to shut up, and at each red light as they stopped, the defendant reached back and repeatedly punched the victim in the head. The defendant stopped hitting the victim when they got to Burger King. With the final punch, he said in a scared voice that he felt something and thought he really hurt her this time. Later that day, the family's car broke down at a traffic light and they had to abandon it. As the defendant and Kayla were getting the children out of the car, the victim did not respond and they realized she had died. The defendant got a duffel bag from the trunk, put the victim's body in it, and brought it back to the friend's apartment complex where the defendant put it in a snowbank. Following the loss of their car, the family stayed in a friend's car, then with Kayla's mother, where they kept her body in a cooler, if I remember correctly, on the porch. And then from December 30th through February 20th at the family's in transition fit shelter in Manchester. The defendant brought the duffel bag containing the victim's body to each place where they stayed. At FIT, the defendant put the duffel bag in the ceiling vent in their room. When the victim's body began to smell and leak fluid, the defendant put the body into garbage bags, which he then stuffed into a diaper bag. The defendant worked at a restaurant at the time and would store the bag in the restaurant's freezer while he was there. The family moved from FIT to an apartment in Manchester. There, the defendant kept the victim's body in the apartment's freezer. The defendant began discussing getting rid of the victim's body and devised a plan to dismember her and use lime, which he believed would hasten the decomposition of the body. On February 26, the defendant withdrew cash from an ATM and purchased lime, an angle grinder, a blade, and a battery. At some point thereafter, the defendant thawed the victim's body in the bathtub at the apartment and had Kayla help remove the victim's clothing. The defendant had a large bag of lime and spent several hours in the bathroom with the victim's body. When the defendant was finished, he put the victim's body back in the diaper bag and put the bag back in the freezer. On March 3rd, the defendant and Kayla stayed at an Econo Lodge with a friend of the defendant and the friend's girlfriend. The defendant had asked the friend to rent a U-Haul for him because, quote, he needed to move stuff. That evening, the friend arranged the rental. Back at the hotel, the friend and the defendant went outside to smoke a cigarette, and the defendant began pacing back and forth, repeating, quote, I fucked up. The defendant left the hotel in the U-Haul in the middle of the night. He took the diaper bag containing the victim's body with him and returning without it, telling Kayla he, quote, got rid of her. After the defendant killed the victim, he began telling people that he had returned the victim to her mother in Massachusetts after Thanksgiving in 2019. The victim's mother, however, had not seen the victim since April 2019. Thereafter, the victim's mother tried to contact the defendant and Kayla, but was unsuccessful. By December 2021, the victim's mother had reached out to state and local agencies and officials to try and find her daughter. At that point, law enforcement became involved in the search for the victim. That's a year after the fact, because all of this, the murder actually happened December 7th, 2019. Now we're at December of 2021. So it's 2 years, excuse me, right? Yeah. That can't be right. 2 years? Is that right, Allie?
Yeah, it was a long time. I mean, I don't know I can't say 100%, but that seems right.
I mean, it is a statement of facts and it is in the opinion, so I would imagine it's probably right. 2 years. 2 years she kept this secret. Fuck off, Kayla. You weren't scared.
Yep.
Okay. The defendant was indicted on 1 count each of the following offenses: second-degree murder, second-degree assault for having struck the victim in July of 2019, falsifying physical evidence, and witness tampering. He was also charged by criminal complaint with abuse of a corpse. The defendant filed an assented to motion to join the charges for trial, which the court granted. Subsequently, however, the defendant moved to sever the second-degree assault charge from the other charges after receiving a Zwicker letter from the state, quote, imparting information from Kayla Montgomery that marks a substantial departure from her prior statements. The court denied that motion. So initially, the trial court granted the motion to sever. Well, initially, the defense agreed that they could be joined. And then they wanted to unjoin them, and that was denied. The defendant also filed a number of motions in limine, which, as relevant to this appeal, included motions to exclude: 1, evidence that he prevented the victim's mother from seeing the victim; 2, evidence of his abuse and neglect of the victim other than the charged conduct; and 3, evidence of his encounter with the police on December 31st, 2021. The trial court denied the defendant's motion with respect to interference with the victim's mother's attempt to see the victim. With respect to the remaining 2 categories of challenged evidence, each motion was granted in part and denied in part. While the court limited what the state could introduce, it declined to exclude all of the evidence in each challenged category. The defendant was tried before a jury in February 2024. In his opening statement, the defense's counsel told the jury that it, quote, can and should find the defendant guilty of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. He asserted, however, that the defendant committed those crimes to protect Kayla, who, quote, was the last person to see the victim alive and know how she died. He contended that the victim did not die during the day on December 7th, but during the previous night while the defendant, quote, was running around trying to make money to get them out of their situation. And Kayla was alone in the car with the children. He told the jury that it would not hear truthful testimony from Kayla and that the only reason she has to lie and point the finger at the defendant is because the truth points the finger at her. The jury returned guilty verdicts on all charges. This appeal followed.
Cindy,
Yes.
when it comes to the amount of time, do you remember this is part of the reason why CPS is under so much fire and why Harmony's case finally got the attention it.
She got out. Yes, part of the reason why was because of the you cut out, babe. Talk again. Okay. She'll be back. I'll keep reading and then I'll let her. That way she can just interrupt me, okay, when you come back. All right, severance. The defendant first argues that the trial court erred in denying his request to sever the second-degree assault charge from the other charges. Quote, the trial court's decision to join or sever charges is discretionary. We will affirm its ruling unless the decision constitutes an unsustainable exercise of discretion. To succeed on appeal, the defendant must demonstrate that the ruling was clearly untenable or unreasonable to prejudice his case. Okay, so that's really about, let's keep going because they're going to explain it. New Hampshire Rule of Criminal Procedure 20 governs the joinder of criminal offenses and distinguishes between related and unrelated charges. Hi.
Of course, my phone rang and it freaking booted me. That's why I lost sound.
And
but I was just saying,
is back. The Dubuque is back.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Okay.
What the heck? Wait, what about now?
You're good.
It's on.
You're
okay.
Good.
So,
nope,
I was
it's
just
back,
saying,
but that's fine. We'll just deal with it. Just keep talking.
Just real quick, I'll say, and then I'll fix it. Or it's already on my AirPods, so I don't know. I'll refresh. But remember, that's why Harmony's case got so much attention. CPS got under fire. She was missing a long time. No one, and the right red flags weren't being raised. Crystal took forever to report it. Remember?
That's true.
Yeah, and then because Harmony's case, and then another case at the time, Oakley Carlson, another little girl who was missing a long time. So I just was trying to remind you of that.
Thank you. I remember now. My brain is too full up.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Took a second.
Okay. It provides that if a defendant is charged with 2 or more related offenses, either party may move for joinder of such charges. The trial judge shall join the charges for trial unless the trial judge determines that joinder is not in the best interests of justice. By contrast, unrelated charges may be joined, quote, only upon written motion of the defendant or with the defendant's written consent, and upon showing that a failure to try the charges together would constitute harassment or unduly consume the time or resources of the parties. The defendant argues that the trial court erred in finding that the charges were, quote, related for the purposes of Rule 20. Alternatively, he argues that even if the charges were related, the court should have severed them in the interest of justice. We need not address the defendant's first argument because we conclude that the best interests of justice required severance of the charges. As a threshold matter, we note that neither party argues that the best interest of justice prong of the joinder analysis must be based on the evidence before the trial court at the time of its pretrial ruling. Accordingly, we do not confine our best interests inquiry to the pretrial record. Considering the defendant's arguments that were based in part on trial events where the state did, quote, not contest whether trial events may be relevant to our review of the court's pretrial decision to joinder. Under the best interest of justice standard, charges should be tried separately whenever it's deemed appropriate to promote a fair determination of the defendant's guilt or innocence. In essence, when conducting a single trial would jeopardize the defendant's right to a fair trial. In making best interests of judgment determination, trial courts must evaluate whether, in view of the number of offenses charged and the complexity of evidence to be offered, the trier of fact will be able to distinguish the evidence and applying the law intelligently to each offense, i.e., quotations admitted. The best interests of justice determination may also entail consideration of other factors, including whether some charges are likely to unusually inflame the jury against the defendant. The evidence in support of some offenses is weak, while the proof of others is strong. The defendant's available defenses for different crimes are inconsistent, or the defendant wishes to testify as to one offense but not others. The defendant argues that joining the charges gave rise to a risk that the jury would use evidence of the July assault, quote, for improper propensity purpose, which means what they're saying there is that the testimony and trying this at the same time, this is what his defense is arguing and what the appellate court ultimately agreed with, is that this goes to if they admit hearing that evidence, which was photographs, there were the uncle testified that about and the uncle testified not only to seeing the black eye, so there's a witness statement that there was in fact a black eye, but that the defendant, he asked the defendant about how Harmony got that black eye, and he admitted that he gave her the black eye. And so their argument is that basically now the jury has heard that he has abused Harmony in the past and is likely, because of something he's done in the past, to be the type of person and capable of this offense, that the most serious offense, which is her murder. Okay. When considering the second-degree murder charge, he notes that Kayla's testimony provided the only direct evidence that he fatally struck the victim, and asserts that Kayla has had significant credibility deficits. Yeah, it's putting it mildly. Specifically, he contends that evidence undermining Kayla's credibility included her felony perjury convictions for lying to the grand jury, her prior criminal history, her other criminal conduct that the state agreed not to prosecute her for in exchange for her testimony, as well as numerous self-serving and inconsistent statements about what happened in December 2019 and thereafter. By contrast, the defendant argues the state's case on the July 2019 charge was strong and rested on testimony from several witnesses without such credibility issues. The defendant contends because the charges involved the allegations that the defendant struck the victim with his fist at different times, places, and contexts, there was substantial risk that a jury hearing the strength of the state's case on the July 2019 charge would draw the improper inference that he simply struck her in December and thus dismiss any doubts it might have had as to his guilt on the homicide charge. We agree that the state's case on the second-degree assault charge was strong. 3 witnesses testified to observing the victim with a black eye in July 2019. 4 witnesses, including 2 who observed the victim's black eye, testified that the defendant admitted striking the victim. Although 2 of the admissions were made near the time of the assault and 2 were made years later, each witness testified to a consistent explanation given by the defendant that he hit the victim because he saw her with her hand over the baby's mouth, suffocating him. Okay, don't be trying to scam me when I'm live. Scam likely. As to the homicide charge, I had to check to make sure I was unmuted. As to the homicide charge, only Kayla's testimony directly implicated the defendant in the victim's death. The state disputes, however, that the evidence on that charge was weak, arguing that, quote, so much of what Kayla said was corroborated by physical evidence that it was easy to credit the parts of her testimony that lacked such corroboration. Specifically, the state contends, 1, Kayla's testimony that the defendant stored the victim's body in the ceiling of their room at FIT was corroborated by DNA and fingerprint evidence taken from that ceiling. Kayla's testimony that the defendant stored the bag containing the victim's body in the freezer at work was corroborated by 2 of the defendant's co-workers who testified that they saw the defendant entering or leaving the restaurant walk-in cooler with a bag. 3, Kayla's testimony that the defendant planned to dismember the victim's body and accelerated its decay with lime was corroborated by evidence that a $500 cash withdrawal was made from Kayla's joint bank account 22 minutes before a nearly $400 cash purchase of items, including a bag of lime and an angle grinder, was made at a nearby Home Depot. And 4, Kayla's testimony that on the night she, the defendant, the defendant's friend, and the defendant and the friend's girlfriend stayed at the Econo Lodge, the defendant used a U-Haul to dispose of the victim's body, was corroborated by the testimony of the friend, his girlfriend, and the person who rented the U-Haul. This evidence, however, supports only Kayla's testimony about the defendant's actions after the victim's death. It does not corroborate Kayla's testimony that the defendant killed the victim on December 7th by repeatedly punching her in the head. It is also not inconsistent with the defendant's theory of defense, namely that Kayla caused the victim's death and the defendant helped her cover up the crime. As additional evidence supporting Kayla's testimony that the defendant, rather than she, killed the victim, the state cites the defendant's friend's testimony that the defendant paced outside the Econo Lodge repeating, quote, I fucked up, and another friend's testimony that in 2021, the defendant told her, I remember this testimony, that he hated the victim right to his core because she reminded him of her mother. This evidence does not support the proposition that the defendant displayed a consciousness of guilt for something he had done, and that more than a year after the victim's death, the defendant had profound animus toward the victim. It does not, however, corroborate Kayla's account of the victim's death. As compared to the evidence of multiple disinterested witnesses substantiating the July assault, the evidence of the December 7th fatal attack is substantially weaker. We therefore conclude that this disparity created a significant risk that the jury would rely on the strength of the evidence that the defendant struck the victim in anger in July to conclude that as Kayla testified, he similarly and fatally struck the victim in December. The state contends that there was no such risk because evidence of the July assault was presented separately. The offenses were discussed separately in the state's closing, and the jury was instructed to consider each indictment separately and not let a verdict of guilty or not guilty on one of the indictments influence its verdict on the other indictments. The state argues that these cautionary statements are significant since juries are presumed to follow the instructions of the trial court. This argument is predicated on a more sanguine view of the efficiency of instructions to overcome prejudice than our decisional law supports. It also overlooks the misalignment of the instruction with specific risk created by the denial of the motion to sever. It is true that we generally presume that jurors follow the trial court's instructions. Nevertheless, we have recognized that there are circumstances in which the presumption is outweighed by the likelihood of prejudice, in that the jury could have found the defendant guilty of one charge based at least in part upon the evidence regarding the other charge, concluding that error in joining charges was not harmless. Here, as the case was presented at trial, the jury was asked to determine which of the two adults were with the victim on December 6th and 7th, 2019. The defendant, Kayla, killed her. While the jury heard no evidence that Kayla had ever physically assaulted the victim, it heard evidence from multiple witnesses that the defendant physically assaulted the victim in July 2019. Thus, there was a significant risk that the jury would draw the impermissible inference that because the defendant assaulted the victim before by striking her in the head, he must be the one who fatally assaulted her in December by again striking her in the head. And then it cites a case. We do not agree with the state's contention that the trial court's instruction was sufficient to counteract the risk of prejudice to the defendant arising from trying the two charges jointly. The instruction said only that the jury must consider each indictment separately, and that its verdict on one indictment could not influence its verdict on another. Nothing in the instruction, however, told the jurors that they were prohibited from considering the evidence admitted on one charge when reaching their verdict on another's. The instruction then left the jury free to consider evidence of the defendant's assault on the victim in July when deliberating on the second-degree murder charge. Yikes. The state asks that we attribute significance to the defendant's initial motion for joinder. The state asserts that the argument the defendant advances now was available to him when he made the motion, and argues that the defendant does not explain on appeal how any of the items in the state's Zwicker letter alter. I wonder if I can click. No. Let me find out what this Zwicker letter is, okay? altered the analysis of that issue. The state contends that if the defendant's trial counsel could reasonably conclude that the joinder under the circumstances was proper and in his client's strategic interests, it is difficult to see how a trial court's ruling one way or the other later in time could be clearly untenable or unreasonable to the prejudice of the defendant's case, and therefore an unsustainable exercise of discretion. Whatever the persuasive force of these arguments in the abstract, the state conceded before the trial court that even if the Zwicker letter provided no new information, the defendant had the right to withdraw his assent to joinder prior to trial and was entitled to a fresh consideration of whether joinder was in the best interests of justice. Accordingly, the state disclaimed in the trial court the very argument it makes on appeal. We will not consider an appeal on argument waived in the trial court. Having determined that joinder of the charges jeopardized the defendant's right to a fair trial, we conclude that the trial court unsustainably exercised its discretion in failing to sever them. The state nevertheless argues that even if the trial court erred by failing to sever the charges, the error was harmless. To establish harmless error, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the error did not affect the verdict. To determine whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that an error did not affect the verdict, we must evaluate the totality of the circumstances at trial. The factors that we consider in assessing whether an error did not affect the verdict include, but are not limited to, 1, the strength of the state's case; 2, whether the admitted or excluded evidence is cumulative or inconsequential in relation to the strength of the state's case; 3, the frequency of the error; 4, the presence or absence of evidence corroborating or contradicting the erroneously admitted or excluded evidence; the nature of the defense; the circumstances in which the evidence was introduced at trial; whether the court took any curative steps; whether the evidence is of an inflammatory nature; and 9, whether the evidence of the defendant's guilt is of an overwhelming nature. No one factor is dispositive. We may consider all factors listed above, and not all factors may be implicated in a given case. Are y'all okay? We're all right? All right. I think the factors they obviously considered are where is it at? The number 8, whether the evidence is of an inflammatory nature, and the nature of the defense. Because at trial, Adam's defense was, even though he wasn't there, was that Kayla did it. He was not even there when it happened. Patricia says, I think they tried them together to ensure their star witness testified against the apparent love of her life, in my opinion. I think they tried them together because I think the state believed that it was not propensity evidence, but more that it was part of the same criminal course of conduct. That's why I think they kept them together. But when when, but but then they wanted it. At first they were fine. At first the defense was like, sure, let's do it jointly. But then they learned that Kayla's testimony and story about what happened on that day had changed substantially. And I think that the state didn't want them severed at that time, also because of the new defense. So let me Google and see what is this called? Let me scroll back up a second. Hey, Allie, what you got?
I just came back up a couple things. First, is the demon here?
No.
Okay, good. First, I just want to say I'm so glad you read this. It seems like they also don't think that there's enough evidence to believe Kayla in that moment. And she's, at least that's the way it read to me hearing you read it.
No, that is exactly what the appellate court is saying, that the only evidence of Adam being the one who actually took Harmony's life is Kayla's testimony. And basically the only thing that supports her testimony, the only thing that can be corroborated from her testimony is the things that occurred after the fact.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. And he admitted to some, like it said, he admitted to some of the after the fact stuff. It's just the only evidence of what happened to her is in Kayla's hands. I don't trust or believe her. I mean, she's been proven to lie. That literally her testimony started with, "You're in prison for perjury."
Right, exactly. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself, they offered Adam a deal. Remember at the end of if he would, at sentencing, if he would tell them where Harmony's body was. And I wonder, I thought about this, and because it's been so long and so many things were done to her little body, I don't know what they could potentially determine. Because I think that it's a given that Harmony was abused for pretty much since Adam got her back.
Yeah.
And but if Adam was out making money that day, is there no witness that they could find that saw him? And what was he doing? I mean, what was he doing to make money? Is there nothing, you know what I mean? And I thought about, if Kayla is the one that did it, right? Why doesn't Adam just give up? Why doesn't he just give up Harmony's location? It's not going to prove anything one way or the other. It's not going to make anything worse for him because the state or his defense already conceded that he's guilty of the other charges. Exactly. So why not just say where
either way, why doesn't he?
Right.
Because it's like,
right.
But it's, what do you have to lose there, especially when you were going to get a deal for telling that? Why would you not? Why are you holding on to that?
Right.
And I just want to say also, I'm really sorry. Hold on one second. No, you can't have my charger. No, I just wanted to say, I accidentally pocket modded Brandy.
Oh, that's it. Blocked and reported. We can't be friends anymore, and I'm going to go live about it.
I unhid her and she hasn't commented since. So that's really the main reason I come up here to say, Brandy, I love you. And I'm so sorry. I think I just pocket modded in Dietz or Jones's the other day. And I'm thinking I accidentally got her that day. Cause she's like, I didn't even notice. Well, today I was carrying my phone and a couple other things. And when I set everything down, I saw, oh shit, so-and-so was hidden by Alex. So I unhid her. She's not hidden now. And I just want to say, I'm so sorry. And sincerely, because her comment that I fucking removed said, I just appreciate being here with you guys today. And I'm like, oh my God, we appreciate you.
Of all
And that's serious, sincerely, not just saying that because I did that. We do appreciate you, and that's the comment I have to. And you're the person I have to accidentally hide. It couldn't have been somebody else today. Like, I'm so sorry, and I just wanted to
Oh,
say that I love
that's
you,
all right.
Brandy.
Come
Love
back,
you,
Brandy.
Bendy.
Love you too,
Baby, come back
baby. You can blame it all on
on
her.
me.
She done did it twice to you. So now poor Brandy probably thinks that this is like something personal.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Look, I
and
didn't
look,
even. Thank God.
isn't this the way? See, there are some of us, me and Allie, and there are other creators too. Where I lost my mouse. Let me highlight this. Who will worry endlessly and fret over something like that. I do. I know I do, and I
Yes.
know Allie does too. Like, oh my God, does this person think I don't like them?
Yes.
Are they
I
ever
was
going to
so
come
worried.
back?
All
You
my
know?
plans for today were put on hold. I dropped everything. I was like, oh God, I don't even care about getting this house together so we can get the kids outside. Brandy! Are you okay?
We will worry. And here
Yeah.
comes Brandy. Oh my God, I didn't even notice.
I know. Thank God.
Thank God. All right.
Brandy, let us know though, was it you accidentally got the other day? Because if so, like, that is nuts. And I'm so sorry. I'm pretty certain it was, but I needed this. Oh, we
Y'all,
love
Tess has
you.
been a member for 36 months. Thank you. She
Oh
said, my
my
favorite
gosh.
two beautiful ladies. Thank you, Tess. Thank you so much for supporting me in the channel. Preschool Granny says, you two cracked me up. Brandy said she needed this. She said, the pocket mod made it even better.
Okay, good. Because I was
We done
worried.
lost it. Oh, and Preschool Granny's been a member for 28 months. Thanks, babe.
Wow,
Thank you
that's
for being a member.
awesome.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah. We don't take
Okay.
ourselves too seriously, but we do fret about how y'all take us. I'll say that right up front.
Yeah. We don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt your feelings. And
No.
I love Brandy. I so
Yes.
appreciate her. She's always here, like usually always joining the conversation. You would be the last person I removed. So just know that. One of the last for sure. So I would never do that. And I just was like, oh God, I hope she doesn't like think, okay, this is twice now. What the hell's going on, Al? You trying to remove
Yes.
me from this chat?
Exactly. She
So
said she doesn't think it was me yesterday, or maybe it was, and I didn't even notice.
okay. The person responded because they said at the time though, they were like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was blocked. Here I am going in all
Allie.
my friends' chats, blocking
Allie.
blocking their viewers.
Maybe it shouldn't be the viewers that should be side-eyeing Allie. Maybe it should be us.
Yeah.
Allie's gone rogue. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I've
we
done
love
it
you
too.
back, preschool
Love
granny.
you guys. Yeah, we do.
Oh gosh.
Should I
Okay.
get back to reading? Okay.
I'll go back to the chat. I'm going to just
Okay.
listen from there since
Okay,
there's a
perfect.
lot going on here. But yeah, I'm so glad you're doing this because
Thank you.
I wanted
Glad
to
you
know the
came up.
specifics. Me too. Thank you for having me. It
Well,
was
I
good to
wanted
talk it
to
over.
understand because that article, remember yesterday, that article mentioned Kayla's testimony. And I was
Yeah.
trying to see if what I really am curious about is if the judge or if the justices are saying, let's throw out Kayla's testimony. But I understand now why they mentioned why they mentioned it in that article, because as far as the justices are concerned, in their opinion, there was no corroborating evidence to verify Kayla's story that it was her and Adam and he was hitting her in the car at the Burger King. I mean, yes, there's corroborating evidence that they went to Burger King because I remember there was a receipt that they found a receipt, or they saw them on the surveillance. But because they don't have Harmony's body, they can't determine when she died, number one. And even if they could, they can only determine it within a few hours. There's a huge amount, there's a window there, and it's not a giant window, but it's definitely, if we're talking about the overnight hours of December 6th versus, and then the early morning hours, because what time do most methadone clinics open? 8?
I think that they do really,
7?
really early morning. Yeah, it's super
7,
early morning.
something like that. But regardless, I don't think that knowing her time of death would
Yeah,
prove anything one way or
no.
the other. And to be quite frank with you, I honestly believe at this point they're just pointing the finger at each other, and I think they're both in it up to their eyeballs. I think that yes, um, this is what I think happened. I think I said this before back when we were covering this trial, but I think that it's not that Adam smelled the urine. I don't think that's what happened. I think Kayla said, "She's peed again." I think Kayla instigated it.
She probably did. She probably always was. You know how like stepmoms can be sometimes and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And
And
small
even
children, as lovable as they are, they're challenging
they
sometimes. You know
are.
what I mean? So if
They
you're,
are, but even I think biological mothers do that too. You know, we've seen it before where a
oh yeah,
biological mother can have, multiple children and yet one is the
true.
target.
That's a good point. Biological mothers do it too. But I could see even more Harmony being treated different than her own kids. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Well, yeah. Yeah. She didn't
So,
care. She's
no.
and I think she only took those pictures to put it in Crystal's face. That's it. That's all. She's
Yeah.
like a mark in her territory.
Yeah, it reminds me of this teen mom that's like all over the news right now for
Mm,
DUI and stuff. She
mm-hmm.
when she had the little girl over that had the other mom, she did a TikTok of the little girl coming up to her and going, "You're the best stepmommy ever." And she's like, "Thank you," smiling at the camera like it's obviously filmed for TikTok. It's not a
Right.
genuine moment, you weirdos. People are
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll
Oh,
go back to the chat.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for coming up.
Thank you for having me. Love you. Bye.
Always. Love you. Bye. Okay. Okay. The parties agree that the state's case on the July 2019 assault charge was strong and rested on testimony from several witnesses without the credibility deficits that Kayla had. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be. We conclude that the failure to sever the second-degree murder charge from the second-degree assault charge did not affect the verdict on the latter charge, concluding that joinder of charges was improper where the state's case concluding that joinder of charges was improper where the state's weaker case on some charges was bolstered by combining it with the stronger case on other so-called Casey counts, but concluding that given the strong and more substantial evidence presented on the Casey counts, improper joinder was harmless beyond a reasonable doubt as it relates to the defendant's conviction on those counts. Because we conclude that any error with respect to the second degree assault charge was harmless but beyond a reasonable doubt, we affirm the defendant's conviction on that charge. Because we conclude that any error. So I see. The state, so they're saying, okay, that the state's case was stronger and that there was substantial supportive corroborating evidence, i.e., other witness testimony who did not have the same credibility as issues that Kayla had. So they are affirming that conviction. Okay. So that's affirmed. The state argues that any error with respect to joinder was also harmless as to the second degree murder charge because the quote state's case and the evidence of the defendant's guilt were overwhelming, end quote. For the reasons discussed above, we disagree. The quote unquote overwhelming evidence cited by the state, eyewitness testimony corroborative of eyewitnesses, DNA, fingerprints, receipts, and the list goes on, end quote, related to the uncontested, and they're talking about by the defendant himself, the uncontested charges of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. By contrast, only Kayla's testimony directly implicated the defendant in the victim's death, and evidence that the defendant stated that he hated the victim, quote, right to his core, and that he, quote, fucked up, are far from overwhelming evidence that he killed the victim. So, concluding misjoinder with this case, CF Mason, 150 New Hampshire at 62, concluding misjoinder was not harmless, where, quote, the evidence was not overwhelming as to any particular offense, and the case was dependent on witness credibility. This is not a case, moreover, in which the jury found the defendant guilty on some counts and not guilty on others, which could have constituted compelling evidence that the jury considered the charges separately and was not influenced by evidence of the other alleged offenses. We conclude that the misjoinder of offenses was not harmless as to the homicide charge. Accordingly, we reverse the defendant's conviction of second-degree murder. Okay. Now, that means the part of the trial that will be new, they want him to get, they're reversing the conviction on the second-degree murder trial. So they can try him again on the second-degree murder charge. So now they're going to address this. Other act evidence. We address the defendant's remaining arguments because they are likely to arise again on remand, which is retrial. The defendant next argues that the trial court erred in admitting evidence of certain prior and subsequent bad acts as intrinsic to the charged offenses. Specifically, he challenges the admission of evidence that he punched the victim in the 2 weeks prior to December 7th, 2019, and that he prevented the victim's mother from having contact with the victim throughout the 10 months preceding the victim's death. We review the trial court's ruling on the admissibility of evidence for an unsustainable exercise of discretion and will reverse only if it was clearly untenable or unreasonable to the prejudice of the defendant's case. Here is its 404B evidence. You ready? The New Hampshire Rule of Evidence 404B prohibits the admission of evidence of a person's other bad acts for the purposes of establishing the person's propensity to act in accordance with character traits inferred from the other acts. We have distinguished between intrinsic evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts, which is governed by Rule 404B, and intrinsic evidence, which is not. Other act evidence is intrinsic, and therefore not subject to Rule 404B when the evidence of the other act and the evidence of the crime charged are intrinsically intertwined. For example, with Athena's murder, not only was he charged with her murder, but he was also charged with her kidnapping. That is not 404B evidence because they occurred at the same time. First he kidnapped her, then he murdered her. Okay. Other act evidence is intrinsic and therefore not blah, blah, blah. Or both acts are part of a single criminal episode, or the other acts were necessary preliminaries to the crime charged. Intrinsic or inextricably, sound it out, Bindi. Intertwined evidence will have a causal, temporal, or spatial connection with the charged crime. Typically, such evidence is a prelude to the charged offense. In is directly probative of the charged offense, arises from the same events as the charged offense, charged offense, forms an integral part of witness testimony, or completes the story of the charged offense. The defendant argues that the December 7th, 2019 homicide did not depend in any way on the alleged abuse and neglect that previously occurred, or on whether he blocked the victim's mother's contact with the victim beginning April 2019. Testimony on those matters, the defendant argues, was not essential to providing an intelligent and coherent description of what occurred on December 7th. The state counters with respect to the prior abuse and neglect evidence that the trial court correctly ruled that this evidence was part and parcel of the crimes charged. Understanding that events do not occur in a vacuum, it contends that the challenged evidence completed the story of the victim's murder, which cannot be fully understood solely by recounting the events of December 7th, 2019. In particular, the state argues that the evidence, quote, allowed the fact finder to see the full picture and understand that this case was not the story of a loving father who unimaginably snapped under formidable circumstances. We conclude that the evidence of other assaults of the victim during the time the family was homeless was intrinsic to the second-degree murder charge, in part because that conduct was an essential part of the course of conduct leading to the charge offense. The defendant concedes that this evidence, quote, bore an arguable temporal and spatial connection to the charged act, but argues that the requisite factual connection was lacking, noting that while challenged statements by the defendant bore an arguably temporal connection to the charged offenses without sufficient underlying factual nexus, these statements are merely coincidental to the charge offense. We disagree. So, in its objection to the defendant's motion to preclude this evidence, the state noted, albeit in the context of its Rule 404B analysis, that the prior conduct involved the same victim, an identical mechanism of assault, i.e., the defendant's punching and or striking the victim's face, and occurred under similar circumstances, i.e., in response to the victim's being incontinent in the defendant's vehicle. The challenged evidence described events that were a prelude to the charged offense and completed the story of the charged offense. This type of evidence is admissible under the rationale that events do not occur in a vacuum, and the jury has a right to hear what occurred immediately prior to and subsequent to the commission of the charged act so that it may realistically evaluate the evidence. Evidence of the prior assaults gave the jury a more complete understanding of the alleged crime and better enabled the jurors to assess the likelihood that the charged crime occurred. Accordingly, the trial court did not unsustainably exercise its discretion in admitting this evidence as intrinsic to the second-degree murder charge. So that evidence can come back in, and if there is a retrial, it can come back in. I should say, yeah, if it gets to an actual trial, okay, because he can still plead. They can still work out a plea deal. With respect to the evidence that the defendant prevented the victim's mother from having contact with the victim during the 10 months preceding the victim's death, the state argues that the trial court reasonably concluded that the evidence was intrinsic to the second-degree murder charge because it formed an integral part of the victim's mother's testimony and completed the story of her contacting law enforcement, and because it, quote, directly undermines the defendant's assertion that he dropped the victim off with her mother in November 2019. Okay. We disagree that the evidence was intrinsic under either rationale. The evidence lacks a causal, temporal, or spatial connection with the charged crime of second-degree murder and is not intrinsically inextricably, geez, Jen, intertwined with that crime. While the evidence may have explained how the victim's mother came to contact law enforcement, it neither completes the story of the charged offense nor forms an integral part of a witness's testimony about the charged offense. In addition, we have never held that evidence undermining a defendant's asserted version of offense that do not have a causal, temporal, or spatial connection with the charged crime is intrinsic to that offense. Rather, we have considered the admissibility of such evidence under the rubric of Rule 404B. Concluding that certain evidence was relevant for the non-propensity purpose of undermining the defendant's argument that she reasonably believed the alleged victim was about to use unlawful deadly force against her. We conclude that this evidence was not intrinsic to the charged offense. Therefore, the trial court unsustainably exercised its discretion in ruling to the contrary. This conclusion is limited to the determination that the challenged evidence is not intrinsic and does not preclude the state in a retrial from seeking to admit the evidence under Rule 404B. Okay, we conclude. Okay. Video of encounter with the police. The defendant next contends that the trial court unsustainably exercised its discretion by admitting a video of his encounter with the police on December 31st, 2021. By motion, the defendant succeeded in having his statements during that encounter excluded because he had not invoked his right to remain silent. Okay, and this is C State v. Remick, 149, New Hampshire, 745, 747, 2003, noting that under the Fifth Amendment, use of pre-arrest silence in the state's case in chief, in which the defendant does not testify, is unconstitutional. He then moved to exclude all evidence of the encounter pursuant to Part 1, Article 15 of the New Hampshire Constitution and the Fifth and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution, arguing that evidence that there was an encounter, with the absence of the encounter not admitted, merely raises questions and causes the jury to speculate and therefore is prejudicial. The trial court excluded only questions posed to the defendant, which resulted in his asserting his right to silence, and any assessment of his demeanor based on his asserting his right to silence. At trial, a video of the encounter was played for the jury without audio. On appeal, the defendant argues that the video was improper evidence of his pre-arrest silence. He asserts that in the video, the police officers appear to pepper him with questions that he seems to answer, but that without the audio, the jury could only speculate about what was said. He then asserts that the jury could have understood from other evidence in the case that the police had located him that day to question him about the victim. He argues that because there was no evidence that he helped the police find the victim, the jury could only have understood that he did not cooperate, which constitutes evidence of pre-arrest silence. Having reviewed the video, we cannot conclude that it could lead the jury to speculate about the defendant's pre-arrest silence. The defendant acknowledges that, as depicted in the video, the defendant seems to answer the officer's questions. Nor is there anything in the video suggesting that the officers were antagonistic toward the defendant or that he was fending off accusations. We are not persuaded that the video without audio constituted impermissible evidence of the defendant's pre-arrest silence. So basically what that means is he's the appellant is saying they played a video of me being questioned by police, but without any audio, and I have the right to remain silent, and my exercising my right to remain silent should not be used against me in front of the jury. It should not, I have that right. And so therefore, me not saying anything should not be constituted or implied to the jury that that somehow is, in some type that has a negative connotation. Okay. The defendant also argues that the video had no probative value on any issue of consequence. The state counters that the video was relevant and probative of the investigation of the investigative steps taken by the police, and was probative of the defendant's whereabouts, who he was with, and his living situation when the police began looking for the victim who was supposed to be with him. Based upon our review of the video, we conclude that while its probative value was slight, it presented virtually no danger of unfair prejudice. Accordingly, we reject the defendant's argument that the video was inadmissible under New Hampshire Rules of Evidence 402 and 403. Providing relevant evidence is generally admissible. 403 is providing relevant evidence is excludable if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. We conclude that the trial court did not unsustainably exercise its discretion in admitting the video. Although, here's the conclusion. Although the defendant, and this is the important part, requests that we reverse all his convictions, his brief does not specifically address his convictions of falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, and abuse of a corpse. To the extent that the defendant does not challenge those convictions on appeal, he has failed to demonstrate reversible error. Any issues the defendant raised in his notice of appeal but did not brief are deemed waived. For the foregoing reasons, we reverse the defendant's conviction of second-degree murder, affirm his conviction of second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, and abuse of a corpse, and remand. So that is that. So basically, I think that he's going to get a new trial. They uphold that the jury found correctly that he is guilty of second-degree assault in July of 2019. So now it's the evidence is going to be if he decides to take this to trial, okay, they're not going to obviously the assault from July of 2019 is not going to be admitted. And I think it I'm a little confused because I am not I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure if I interpreted it correctly, but I think that her mom cannot testify about the times that she tried to see Harmony in the 10 months before her murder, only what she did after her murder. I think that's the way that I think that I interpreted that correctly. Cammie says, but really, did silence have anything to do with it? It was the actions that the jury was looking at. Right. All of that video was introduced to show the steps that law enforcement took to investigate Harmony Montgomery's mother, Crystal's report that she was missing, and that Crystal had learned that Adam had been telling people that Harmony was with her, when in fact, well, obviously she wasn't with Crystal, and that Crystal is actually the one that reported her missing. And you can see that the they're talking to him, and they're, I think that they threw it. I think that the defense, well, that the appellant, just, he had to try, so they tried, and it wasn't successful. I think if they had played the video and there was audio, I think that would have been an issue, but because it was silent, it really didn't do anything. I see Jonah's mom and Jonah are in here. Let's see what's going on. Ooh, your prosthetic is scheduled to be delivered on June 25th. I'm so excited. Right. Kimberly says he did say something. I've seen both of them, the one at the police station and the one of them by his car. He says Harmony is with his mother. Yes, he does speak. But there was no audio played for the jury. It's only the video. So the jury didn't hear him speak. So that's that. So there you go, you guys. His conviction on the second-degree assault, the abuse of a corpse, tampering with witnesses, all those convictions are affirmed. Yes, obviously the most serious charge is the second-degree murder charge. And, I think that, I don't know what Adam's attorneys will do. I think that, I have to be honest, I think that they're going to try, I think that they're going to try to do more damage to Kayla's credibility this time around. I think they're going to go harder at her. I think they're going to dig more, because if you're looking at it from a defense attorney's point of view, there is not any evidence one way or the other, really. There is no evidence that proves it was Adam who killed Harmony, and there is no evidence that it was Kayla who killed Harmony. So I think that a defense attorney is going to be like, fuck it, take it to trial. There's no evidence. Kayla's got huge credibility issues. And let's see if without that 2019, the June 2019 black eye situation, let's see if they still convict you, if they find that there is enough evidence. Personally, I think that they will. Now, I believe, if I am not mistaken, that as part of Kayla's derivative use immunity, she is required to testify at any and every trial that Adam ever has. And since his original murder trial has now been, his conviction has been overturned and remanded for a new trial, she will be required to testify again. And make no mistake, the defense is going to come at her. They're going to go through her testimony, the transcripts of her testimony, every time she's made a statement, all of the things, but particularly because her deal hinges on her testifying truthfully. They're going to go through her trial testimony with an absolute fine-tooth comb, and they're going to find anything and everything that they can get her on. So yeah. Also, oh yeah, she will absolutely be. Yeah. Here's the thing about this, because this is a sticky thing. And she is supposed to tell the truth. If she lies, she goes to jail. the standard is the truth to the best of your ability. Now, the trial, these events occurred in 2019. The initial trial occurred in 2024, and any retrial will occur. It could be 2026, it could be 2027, regardless. Even if, let's say, if it's at the shorter end of that, let's say it's at the end of 2026, that's still 2 years out from when she testified in the first place. And it's 7 years out from the events. So the standard is the best of their ability. That's really hard. We talked about this, remember, in Corey Richens' trial, because remember Carmen Lauber and the and Bobby, the one who was selling the pills, and they both had deals. And there were times, not so much with Carmen, but yeah, I mean, the longer that the events are from the time that's in trial, the more likely things can be chalked up to a bad memory. For example, if I say that last night for dinner, I made sloppy joes and French fries, and that to drink, I had sweet tea. Then I remember later, oh yeah, I also made a salad. Does that change the story of sloppy joes and French fries substantially? Does it make it a completely different dinner? No. But if I were to say that I had sloppy joes and French fries and sweet tea to drink, and then later say on what is yesterday, June 11th, 2026, for dinner, I went out to dinner. I went to the Texas Roadhouse and I had a steak, a baked potato, a salad, and delicious Roadhouse rolls. That's a substantial change to the story, right? The details are completely different. You guys are always invited for dinner. It's a standing invitation. So basically, what this is the summation. The court said that the only evidence against Adam was Kayla's testimony, and that's not fair. Basically, yes, that the court felt that the state relied too heavily on the evidence, and it was well, let me say this. The court ruled that the case from July of 2019, where Harmony had the black eye, was the stronger of the two cases, and that by joining them, by joining them and presenting much more independent corroborating evidence of that crime, and also not including a jury instruction that evidence of guilt of one crime does not constitute evidence of guilt in another crime, especially because the time period, right? We're not talking about like with Tanner Horner here, where he was charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping, because those two things occurred at the exact same time. First, he kidnapped her and then he murdered her. The assault occurred in July of 2019, where it's too far away in time from December of 2019, which is when when he murdered her, right? So that the appellate court felt that the state was basically relying on the stronger of the two cases, which was the July 2019 case, where there was multiple witnesses and independent corroborating evidence to convict him of the 2019 of the murder, meaning that because he hit her in the face and in the head in July, he likely did that in December, causing her death, when um, the only evidence presented about what occurred on December 7th came from Kayla Montgomery and could not be um, corroborated. The only corroborating evidence to Kayla's testimony was everything that happened after the murder with her body, which is something that the defense actually never argued that he didn't do. They conceded that fact. They said in their opening statements, and now it's all coming back to me, that yeah, Adam did move Harmony's body. He did tamper with evidence. He did tamper with witnesses, all of those things. He did all of those things because he was covering up for Kayla, who's the one who actually killed Harmony. So, so Neat says, can't the evidence of her prior black eye come in as prior bad acts and his conviction of hurting her? Under I think at sentencing it certainly could, but I don't know at the trial. Because because that act is too far apart in time from the murder. If, say, they had evidence and had charged him with beating her in July, August, September, October, November, and then December, or if there was even witnesses that could testify to having seen Adam hit her in all of those months, or or then that might be able to come in because the probative value would outweigh the prejudicial, because they would consider it the same course of conduct, behavior. But because there is such an amount of time and there isn't anything in between, I think that to err on the side of caution, maybe it would be better to keep it out until sentencing. Jonah's mom said, I'm sorry, but I just can't see that scumbag covering for anyone. I think Kayla is more involved than she says, but Adam is definitely guilty of murder. I think they did it together, if you want to know the truth. I don't think he would cover for her either. I think that there is evidence, and Amber, ATS News, had said the fact that he left her alone so many times and for so long with Harmony's body really exemplifies that there's a reason why why he felt comfortable, because Kayla's up to it into her eyeballs. I think that they did it together. I don't think that he covered up. I think that Kayla kept her mouth shut, not because I think she was waiting to see what Adam was going to do. Is Adam going to point the finger at me? And I think she kept her mouth shut, and she kept her mouth shut, and she kept her mouth shut until she saw an opportunity. And once she saw the opportunity, particularly because he was with somebody else, I think she was. I think she pointed the finger at him not because it's the right thing to do, not because she wanted to clear her conscience and Harmony's story should be told. She did it because she was hurt. Her feelings were hurt, and the evidence of that is her writing to Adam in jail while she was and trying to include in her negotiation for testifying. She wanted to see Adam one more time. She's a disgusting piece of shit. All right, but rest assured, you guys, Adam is not getting out ahead of his trial, his retrial, because he's convicted. He's got serious convictions, and they've all been upheld on appeal, respective to the trial that was overturned. So, and also other charges that weren't included that he had another trial for. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. I got the little Chicky Nuggy Popeye Esquire here, and she is hungry for lunch. So I'm going to make her some lunch. And I really want to talk about what the judge in Carmelo Anthony's trial said, but I know it's Friday night. I know Amber goes live on Friday nights. Maybe I can squeeze it in tonight. If not, and this is probably, I'm just going to say, this is the most likely scenario. We'll go over it Saturday morning. What do you guys think? Not so early on Saturday, okay? We won't do. I know people that I can't sleep in. I'll be up at 4:30, but I know you guys can sleep in on Saturday. Like, oh, that's I think on Sunday. Isn't that what Biff Tannen tells George McFly not to when he wants the reports for the for work, not too early. I sleep in on Sunday. I don't know if we're doing I don't know if we're going to go swimming. I'll see how the Nuggy feels about that. Maybe we will. I don't know. I have to ask her mom too. All right, you guys, if you haven't done so, do me a favor, give your girl a thumbs up. And if you're watching on replay and you've made it this far, congratulations. But could you do me a favor and hype the video? I would greatly appreciate it. That does help us creators. It really does, especially creators like me that have smaller channels, and need to get out there. Okay? I'd appreciate it. Because every time somebody new comes in the chat, we make friends and they stay. And, so we need more new friends, I think. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. And I'll talk to you guys Saturday. All right? Bye.